Chapter 1250. Zhao Qibing's threat. After he finished speaking, the Medicine King took back the pills he had taken out earlier and turned around to enter the inner room. He did not hesitate at all and did not take away a single cloud. He was like an otherworldly expert, coming and going in a hurry. Only Zhao Qibing, Su Jiaonong, Wang Sis, and Su Shihan were left. Wang Sis paused and turned to Zhao Qibing. She was confused. Yao Wang was the one treating the patient. Why did he have to name a price? But since Yao Wang said so, Wang Sis could only turn her head and look at Zhao Qibing, masturbating about the treatment plan and the medical fees. That's easy. It's not a big deal. Miss Su Shihan, I'm Zhao Qibing, and I've been admiring you for a long time. I've already prepared a banquet at Floating Cloud Hotel, and it's almost noon. I wonder if Miss Su would like to join me for lunch? Zhao Qibing smiled as he gestured for her to go. Lunch? Shihan frowned unnoticeably. She knew what this Zhao Qibing was thinking. He wanted to get close to her, but she was here to cure her illness. She didn't want to have anything to do with him, so she smiled and looked at Wang Sis. Master Zhao, Shihan is in a rush. She still has to prepare for the concert. She doesn't have much time. Let's forget about lunch. Maybe next time. Let's talk about the treatment first. Wang Sis politely rejected Zhao Qibing's suggestion. What? Miss Su doesn't want to give me face? Zhao Qibing's face darkened. If Miss Su is busy, then go ahead. When you're free, we'll talk about the treatment. Mr. Su, send them off.
That's...
Wang Sis froze. She didn't think that Zhao Qibing wouldn't give her face like this. He wouldn't treat her if she didn't eat. There was such a rule? Manager Wang, Miss Su, please. Su Jianong walked over and said faintly. Wang Sis finally understood that Zhao Qibing was serious. If she didn't eat with him, he wouldn't let Yao Wang continue treating her. This Yao Wang obviously listened to his orders, and without Qibing's permission, he wouldn't give Su Shihan another pill. Thinking of this, Sister Wang had no choice but to awkwardly smile and say, Xiao Han, since it's hard to refuse young Master Zhao's hospitality, why don't we go eat something? We have to eat anyway. Su Shihan was very unhappy, but there was nothing she could do. In order to cure the disease, she could only nod reluctantly. As a public figure, it was inevitable that she would participate in some activities that she wasn't willing to participate in. So Su Shihan was mentally prepared for this. All right, since Master Bing said so, let's go. Shihan nodded. That's more like it. Qibing was delighted. Trying to be reserved with me? I hate being reserved the most. You're a celebrity. Although you look good on the surface, everyone knows what you're doing in the dark. Because they were going out, Su Shihan still put on her hat and sunglasses and quickly got into her MPV. Qibing originally wanted to sit in the same car with her, but Wang Sis clearly didn't want him to get in. Qibing had a wheelchair, and it was inconvenient for him to move. He didn't even get to the front of the MPV before Wang Sis closed the door. There was no other way. Qibing could only curse in his heart. Stupid bitch, I'll make you beg me to F***ck you, or else I won't let Yao Wang treat you. You'll die from the pain. Qibing got into his MPV and led the way to Starlight Hotel. Wang Sis, this Zhao Qibing obviously doesn't have any good intentions. Shihan looked at Wang Sis worriedly after getting in the car. This trip wouldn't be as smooth as it seemed. Yeah, I think so too. Wang Sis nodded. But sometimes, we have to lower our heads when we're under someone else's roof. We need his help, and you've seen it yourself. That Yao Wang is indeed powerful. One pill, and he cured the disease. This has never happened before, that's true. But if Zhao Qibing really makes some unreasonable requests, then I won't treat him. Shihan said stubbornly. We'll see. He's probably just a fan of yours, wanting to have a meal with you intimately. We can't ask for too much, after all. We're paying for the treatment. Wang Sis said. I hope so. Shihan nodded. In the luxurious room of Starlight Hotel, Zhao Qibing sat on the main seat, and under his strong request, Su Shihan had no choice but to sit next to him. On the other side of Zhao Qibing was Su Jiaonong. Yao Wang didn't attend. Qibing's intention was clear. If she wanted to treat him, she had to talk to him. If he wasn't happy, then there was no need to talk. Miss Su, I'm your fan. I've liked you since long ago. When we were in school, I used to masturbate with your picture, huh? Qibing raised his glass and said shamelessly. I didn't expect to see you today, Miss Su. You're even prettier than in your picture. Even I'm getting excited. Come, Miss Sue, let me toast to you. Shirhan's face turned green. She'd seen shameless people before, but they were mostly suggestive. Someone like Qibing, saying such disgusting things right off the bat. Shirhan had never heard of such a thing before. Was there such a shameless person in this world? Using her picture to masturbate? Shirhan really wanted to flip the table and leave right there. Of course, as a superstar, Shirhan couldn't rule out the possibility of perverts fantasizing about doing dirty things to her. Shirhan couldn't control others. But, to say it out loud in front of him, this Zhao Qibing was really a piece of work. Young Master Zhao sure knows how to joke, but Shirhan is a girl. This kind of joke shouldn't be made, right? Wang Sis tried to smooth things over. Master Bing, thank you for your warm hospitality. We're here for treatment, but you're treating us. I'm so sorry. Are you kidding me? I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. Qibing waved his hand and said faintly, Manager Wang, trust me. You should be able to understand what I mean. Wang Sis's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that Qibing really had feelings for Shirhan? From the looks of it, that was most likely the case. Young Master Zhao, please behave yourself. Shirhan is here for treatment, and will pay for it. I hope you won't make things difficult for everyone. Wang Sis saw that Zhao Qibing had shed all pretense of cordiality, so there was no need to hide anymore. Chapter 1251. Bodyguard or Spy. Shirhan's face turned very, very pale. Qibing's words were too much. She didn't know what happened to other people, but she, Shirhan, was absolutely innocent. Since her debut, she hadn't even filmed an intimate scene with a man, let alone having a relationship with someone else. Young Master Zhao, I hope you understand that we're paying to see a doctor. Yao Wang is treating us, and it's not like we're not paying. We can't agree to your request. Wang Sis rejected Qibing's proposal. Paying? You think you're so great just because you're rich? Don't you know who I am? I'm the young master of the hidden house Zhao. What's money in my eyes? I have money. Don't think that just because you have money, I have to treat you. This isn't a hospital. If you think you're rich, you can go to the hospital. But here, money doesn't work. Qibing laughed coldly and raged. You either stay with me or leave. Make your choice. You. Su Shirhan was so angry that her body was shaking. Her headache came back again. Su Shirhan held her temples as cold sweat dripped down from her forehead. Han, what's wrong? Wang Sis was shocked and quickly held Su Shirhan's hand. It's nothing. Wang Sis, I'll be fine in a while. Shirhan breathed heavily. What a pain. You reap what you sow. If you'd agreed to my request earlier, this wouldn't have happened, right? Qibing laughed coldly as if he had Shirhan in his grasp. Wang Sis, let's go. Shirhan gritted her teeth and stood up. Her personality was like this. She'd rather die than submit. The more you forced her, the more she wouldn't submit. Even if she died, she wouldn't submit to you. If you really cured her, and their relationship improved, Shirhan might really give herself to him. After all, humans were sentimental creatures. It was hard to say what would happen after a long time. But what Su Shirhan hated the most was this kind of arrogant and threatening people. She would rather die in pain than give in. Han. Wang Sis was in a difficult position. She'd finally found a famous doctor, and now it was like this. Capsule. Since they don't want to see us, let's send them off. Zhao Qibing, on the other hand, didn't think much of it. As long as he had Yao Wang as his trump card, he didn't have to worry about not taking the bait. At that time, your headache will be unbearable, and you will have no choice but to come and beg me. Manager Wang, Miss Sue, please. Su Jiaonong stood up and said lightly. At the same time, everything that happened in the private room was clearly heard by the driver of the business car downstairs. What Wang Sis didn't know was that her phone was bugged, and the person who bugged her was her driver and assistant, Su Shirhan's bodyguard, Feng Sanhuang. The name Feng Sanhuang sounded like a butler or a servant in a big family. It wasn't common, but of course it was just a name. It didn't matter if it was a little weird. The important thing was that he was good at martial arts. He had been protecting Su Shirhan for the past few years. He was conscientious and responsible. This was also the reason why Wang Sis and Su Shirhan valued him so much. But no one would have thought that such a seemingly loyal person would actually install a listening device in Sister Wang's phone. Feng Sanhuang's face darkened as he listened to Qibing's words. He hesitated for a moment before dialing a phone number. Sanhuang? What's the matter? The call went through quickly, and a deep male voice came from the other side. I heard that Han is going to Songshan for a concert. What happened? Why didn't I know about this? I'm sorry, Master. The concert happened too suddenly, and I didn't have time to report. Feng Sanhuang quickly explained. It was last night. Manager Wang made the decision. Huh. What's going on? Why the rush? Did something happen? Did the company force Han? The man called Master asked in a deep voice. That's not it. I've already asked someone to hint to Manager Zhang of the entertainment company. He wouldn't force the miss. Feng Sanhuang said. It's like this. I heard that there's a miracle doctor here in Songshan called Zhao Yaowang. He can cure the miss's headache. So Manager Wang brought the miss here to see the doctor. That's why he's holding the concert in Songshan. I see. Feng Sanhuang's master nodded. So what? Han's headache. That Zhao Yaowang gave the miss an unknown pill, and her headache was immediately suppressed. It seems like it's working, but Zhao Yaowang's master, Zhao Qibing, is a pervert. He wants the miss to satisfy some of his desires, or he won't treat the miss. Feng Sanhuang said. Master, do you need me? Zhao Qibing? Who is he? Feng Sanhuang's master asked. Just an illegitimate son of a hidden house. I've already investigated him. Feng Sanhuang said faintly. Feng Sanhuang had only been in Songshan for one morning, and he already knew everything about Zhao Qibing. Although Zhao Qibing had revealed his identity at the banquet, he didn't mention that he was an illegitimate son. This meant that Feng Sanhuang's information network was extremely huge. An illegitimate son of a hidden house? From the hidden house, Zhao? Feng Sanhuang's master asked. Yes, that's right. He dared to covet the miss. Feng Sanhuang didn't seem to care about the hidden house Zhao at all. No need. A hidden house isn't a big deal, but I don't want your identity to be exposed right now. At least not now. Feng Sanhuang's master sighed. Soon. It won't be long before I become the head of the sect, and I'll reunite with Han. No one will dare to do anything to her then. Congratulations, Master. Feng Sanhuang was slightly stunned and said with some excitement. He knew that the Master had been waiting for this day for a long time. Once he became the head of the sect, he wouldn't have to be afraid of the pressure from the mistress's family. And, let's not talk about this, you just need to protect the miss. This Zhao Yaowang actually has a way to cure Han's headache? Even the doctors on my side can't see any problems. How about this? Don't let Han take the pill randomly, and try to get one of Zhao Yaowang's pills for me to see. Don't let anything go wrong. Feng Sanhuang's master said. Yes, Master. I understand, Master. Feng Sanhuang nodded. Chapter 1252. Chapter 1250, Zhao Qibing's deduction replying to Master. There is no news of second mistress for the time being. Feng Sanhuang also sighed. There has been no news for so many years. Back then, second mistress suffered such heavy injuries. I'm afraid that she has met with misfortune. I know. Man, do your best. Sanhuang's master said. Okay, Master. Miss is coming out. I'll hang up first. Sanhuang saw Shirhan and Wang Sis walk out of the hotel and quickly hung up. He believed that the Master wouldn't blame him because the Master wouldn't allow Sanhuang to reveal his identity. All these years, Sanhuang had been a bodyguard for Shirhan, a real bodyguard. Although he was hired by Wang Sis in name, that wasn't the case. He had already helped Shirhan deal with too many things, too many people. Otherwise, Shirhan's career wouldn't be this smooth. In Sanhuang's eyes, anyone who disrespected the miss had to die. Miss Su, Wang Sis, how come you're done eating so soon? Sanhuang saw Shirhan and Wang Sis coming back and naturally pretended not to know what was going on. This was in line with his identity as a driver, assistant, and bodyguard. Su Shirhan had returned to normal by now. She had rested in the bathroom for half a day before coming out. This gave Sanhuang enough time to make a call. Hey, little Feng, this Zhao Qibing isn't a good person. Asking Xiaohan to sleep with him? What the hell? Why don't you take a look at yourself? Who do you think you are? How do you have thoughts about Xiaohan? Wang Sis shook her head, but he also said that if Xiaohan doesn't sleep with him, there's no need to talk about the treatment. Oh, this guy really isn't a good person. San Huang pretended not to know and immediately started scolding Zhao Qibing. Wang Sis, what do we do now? What else can we do? From what Zhao Qibing said, there's no room for compromise, and he seems to be the young master of some noble house, not interested in money. We can't even spend money. Wang Sis said angrily, I'm afraid there's no hope. Wang Sis, forget it. We won't treat him. It's nothing. I can endure it. Han was optimistic. I've endured it for so many years. What's the difference now? Sigh, it's been hard on Han. This Zhao Qibing really isn't a good person. Wang Sis sighed. After they left, Jiaoneng asked in a low voice, Master Bing, should we get Sihua to get someone to tie Su Shihan up? No need. Su Shihan is a public figure after all. It wouldn't be good to force her. If something really happened, it wouldn't be easy to clean up the mess. Qibing waved his hand. But, Su Shihan, this girl sure knows what to do. He could actually endure the headache? Wasn't it just getting kid? Can't die? Are there any less performers like them who get fucked? This? Su Jiaoneng hesitated. Master Bing, Su Shihan hasn't had any scandal since her debut. On her fan club forum, many fans believe that Su Shihan is still a virgin. Are you serious? She's a virgin? Qibing paused. No way? It seems like it's possible now. Jiaoneng analyzed. Master Bing, think about it. If Su Shihan wasn't a virgin, letting you sleep with her for a night wouldn't be a problem. It could even cure her headache. But now, it seems like Su Shihan's attitude is a bit problematic. You're right. Qibing nodded. If Su Shihan is really a virgin, then I'm really lucky, but I'm afraid that Su Shihan won't come back. Jiaoneng was worried. If that's the case, Su Shihan might just leave today. No way? She'd rather stay in pain? Qibing didn't quite believe it. It's hard to say. Jiaoneng shook his head. Leaving Qibing aside, the news of Su Shihan's concert spread like wildfire. Whether it was on TV or media, they all began to publicize the concert. Su Shihan looked at the flyer and felt helpless. If she knew this would happen, she wouldn't have stayed here to treat her illness. She wouldn't have organized this concert. But the publicity had already been released, and it was impossible to stop it. Su Shihan could only grit her teeth and continue rehearsing, trying to make the concert a success. Wow, the publicity for Su Shihan's concert is out already? Yushu was surprised as she looked at the news on her phone. I've already booked the tickets through the internet. If I didn't book it in advance, the tickets would probably be sold out. Mingyao had already prepared for this. You can book tickets with your phone too? Tang Yuan was surprised. She wasn't familiar with these high-tech things, and she had never used a phone before. The phone Lin Yi bought for her was only for calling and texting. She didn't use any other functions. Yes, but you need to set up a monthly data plan. Mingyao said, right, Lin Yi? Did you talk to Yun Yun about being the host? I texted her and she said that she would try. Lin Yi nodded. I'm afraid that I won't be able to do it well. This was Tang Yun's first time as a host. She didn't like to show her face in public. She knew that she was very beautiful, and she didn't want people to harass her, so she kept a low profile. But now that she had Lin Yi's protection, no one dared to harass her in school anymore, so Tang Yun was able to relax. Being a host for a public event, while she was still a student, was a good experience. It's fine, they're all good lines. Just read them. Mingyao didn't feel nervous at all. She was a lady from a rich family, and she was confident. Plus, just do whatever you want. No one will do anything to you if you say something wrong. It's just a school event. It's not an official live broadcast. And hearing Mingyao say it so casually, Tang Yun calmed down. Right, this is my mom's braised chicken leg. Do you guys want to try it? Originally, when we moved into our new house, we wanted to invite you to Liaoguadi for a feast, but Xiao Xiao got into trouble, so it was delayed. So, my mom specially brought some chicken legs. Sure, I love chicken drumsticks. Yushu said as she picked one up with her chopsticks and started eating. The food in the cafeteria wasn't here yet, so she could start eating first. Xiao Xiao picked up a drumstick and started wolfing it down without a care in the world. Chapter 1253. Chapter 1251. Guessed right, not bad. I've tried Mrs. Tang's cooking before. Linny took a drumstick and took a bite. Tang Yun felt very satisfied as she looked at the group eating the drumsticks. Life sure was strange. Never in her wildest dreams would she have thought that she'd become good friends with Meng Yao and Yushu. The three of them were known as school beauties, but Tang Yun knew very well the difference between her and Meng Yao and Yushu. One was a commoner school beauty, and the other was a rich Mississippi. If it weren't for Lin Yi, Tang Yun wouldn't have been able to eat at the same table with Meng Yao and Yushu even after graduation, let alone going out and living in the same tent. After graduation, everyone would go their separate ways, and they wouldn't meet again. Maybe in a future reunion, Meng Yao would take over Pengzhan Industries, and Shu would be by her side, and they'd become even more dazzling. She, on the other hand, would become like her mother because of time? Now that she thought about it, her mother's snobbishness wasn't unreasonable. Who didn't want to live a better life? It was just that she didn't understand this before, and she never thought about it. Fortunately, the heavens let her meet Lin Yi, and after meeting him, life became completely different. Maybe in a future reunion, she'd be able to sit with the Miss and Shu. Life was really strange. Since Yun Yun and I are the hosts of the event, we won't have the chance to participate in the singing competition anymore. Shu, you and Xiao Xiao can participate if you want, right? Meng Yao asked. If Yao Yao isn't going, I won't go either, Yushu said. If Yun Yun sis isn't going, I won't go either, Xiao Xiao said. Meng Yao and Tang Yun looked at each other, speechless. In that instant, the miss felt that Tang Yun had really gotten stronger. Before she knew it, Xiao Xiao had run over to her side, and the two seemed to be evenly matched now. If they were to fight again, it'd be a 2-2 tie. But now, the possibility of a war was very, very small. Even if Xiao Xiao really did leave, the three wouldn't be able to go back to the tense situation they used to be. After all, their friendship had been formed, and no one would want to turn against each other again. They could only accept each other and endure it silently. Meng Yao wondered if this was a good thing or a bad thing. Good things and bad things, what does that have to do with me? She had never liked Lin Yi. Yes, she didn't like him. In the afternoon, the school changed to a self-study session, and each class sent out some of their better singers to the field for the competition. Since it didn't concern them, Lin Yi, Meng Yao, Yushu, Tang Yun, and Xiao Xiao didn't go watch, instead going to their own classrooms to study. Lingshan drove to Donghai and met Huaijuan in one of the hotel rooms. If it were someone else, Lingshan, naturally, wouldn't go to a place as intimate as a hotel room. If word got out, people would think that she was seducing her boss to get a higher position. But Huaijuan was fine. Everyone in the police station knew that Lingshan had always treated Huaijuan as her big brother, and that Huaijuan had always taken good care of her. Other than their sibling bond, there wasn't anything special between the two. Of course, this was also because Huaijuan was a righteous man, and he didn't have any rumors. Otherwise, it would be hard to say. Director Yang, I hope I'm not interrupting your work? Lingshan was pleasantly surprised to see Huaijuan. Huaijuan had been transferred out not long after she'd been promoted to captain, and she hadn't seen him since. Seeing him here, Lingshan felt a sense of familiarity. Haha, Song, this isn't a unit. Just call me young bro. Why call me director? It's so distant. Huaijuan was doing pretty well. His injuries were under control after taking the medicine Lin Yi gave him, and it didn't hurt as much anymore. He felt a lot more relaxed. Okay, I'll call you young bro then. Lingshan was very obedient in front of Huaijuan, like a little sister. But Lingshan only saw Huaijuan as an idol. She didn't have any romantic feelings for him. Idolatry and love were two different things. She didn't know why, but she had this feeling that Lin Yi was stronger than the young bro she respected. Lingshan felt very guilty. She was just a normal woman after all, forgetting about her brother when she had a lover. What's wrong? Why's your face turning red and white? Huaijuan asked curiously. It's nothing. Lingshan shook her head, a little embarrassed. I just thought of someone. It's nothing. Oh, who did you think of? You're not thinking of a boyfriend, are you? Huaijuan teased as he looked at Lingshan. Of course not. Lingshan jumped in fright. No way, right? Young Bro was a criminal investigator after all. He could tell what was on her mind with just one look. Huaijuan asked casually, not expecting this kind of expression from Lingshan. It seemed like he guessed right. Huaijuan couldn't help but smile. Lin Yi. Lingshan blinked, remembering the relationship between Lin Yi and Huaijuan. She quickly shook her head. Of course not. Looks like I guessed it right. Huaijuan smiled. We're all friends. Why'd you hide it from me? Yeah. Lin Yi said that you're his comrade? You guys know each other? Lingshan said subconsciously before explaining. There's nothing between me and Lin Yi. We're just normal friends. He doesn't like me. Oh? He told you all this? It seems like you guys are pretty close. Huaijuan looked at Lingshan with a smile that wasn't a smile. Lin Yi didn't really want to talk about the past, but since he'd told Lingshan all this, it meant that they were close to each other. There was no way Lin Yi would tell her all this otherwise. It's all right, just a little better than normal friends. Lingshan wanted to say that she'd taken off her clothes, but she didn't. It was too embarrassing. Lin Yi didn't even do anything when she took off her clothes. Chapter 1254. Huaijuan, surprised Grandpa introduced me to a boyfriend. How's you phone? I'm so annoyed. Lingshan was troubled just thinking about it. She didn't know what her grandpa was thinking, getting her a fiancé. She wouldn't have told her grandpa about her breakthrough if she'd known. How's you phone? Huaijuan blinked. He was also a child of an aristocratic family. Although the Yang family was not very famous, it was still an authentic aristocratic family. This kind of aristocratic family usually had an old ancestor who was in seclusion. Moreover, they did not compete for the position of one of the 4 aristocratic families. It was enough to have a place among the 5 small aristocratic families. Therefore, no one would offend such an aristocratic family, but they would also not be excluded too much. Naturally, Huaijuan had heard of Yufeng's name, but what puzzled him was why House Yu and House Song would form a marriage alliance. House Song's advantage wasn't that obvious. Other than the dual practitioner arts, there wasn't anything else worth mentioning. I'm a golden class late phase peak now. Lingshan didn't hide anything from Huaijuan. This is also why House Yu wants to marry me. They think that I'm already a golden class late phase peak at such a young age, and that my future is limitless. Especially if I dual practice with House Yu, everyone will benefit. You, golden class late phase peak? Huaijuan's eyes were wide as if he'd seen a ghost. He looked at Lingshan, unable to believe what she was saying. Huaijuan spoke after a while, shocked. Song, if I remember correctly, you were only a golden class early phase peak when I left Songshan a while ago, right? How did you become a mystic late phase peak all of a sudden? Young bro, if I tell you, can you keep it a secret? Lingshan didn't want to say it, but after some hesitation, she felt that since Huaijuan was Lin Yi's comrade, and the two were close, it wouldn't hurt to tell him, but the condition was that he had to keep it a secret. Lingshan, naturally, knew the importance of this. If people knew that Lin Yi could quickly increase someone else's strength, they'd come for Lin Yi or cause trouble for Lin Yi. That wasn't something Lingshan wanted to see. That was why she was being so careful. Of course. But you don't have to tell me if you want to keep it a secret, I understand. Huaijuan didn't force Lingshan to tell himself. Everyone had their own secrets. Young bro, what's your relationship with Lin Yi? Lingshan asked. Oh? Huaijuan paused, not expecting Lingshan to ask about Lin Yi instead of answering his question. Could it be that Lingshan's sudden leveling up had something to do with Lin Yi? He didn't want to hide anything. Lin Yi was my captain before. He's Huaijuan. You've guessed. He's someone I respect, and he's helped a lot. Lin Yi, Shu. Lin Yi Lin Hub, Lin. Lin Yi is have told. Who Linim, I who dash I Lin. Who dash I Lin. I've been injured, you know that, but the reason why I'm looking so good is because of Lin Yi. Lingshan paused. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be Huaijuan's captain. No wonder he was so good, and solving cases for her seemed like a piece of cake to him. She admired Young Bro so much, and Lin Yi was Young Bro's captain. That meant that he was even better. If that was the case, then it wasn't a big deal for him to think that Lin Yi was stronger than Young Bro. Even Young Bro himself admitted it. With that thought, Lingshan felt a lot less guilty. My level up? It's all because of Lin Yi. Lingshan sighed. Surprised, right? I'm surprised too. You've been dual practicing? Huaijuan asked, frowning. No. Lingshan shook her head. Lingshan shook her head. It's a little embarrassing to say it aloud. I tried to seduce him, but I failed. Lingshan didn't bother hiding it in front of her brother. So what if it was funny? Huaijuan, however, didn't mind Lingshan's seductive words. He focused on the first half of the sentence. You guys didn't dual practicing. So does that mean that your strength was directly increased by him? That's right, one day. Not even a day, and I leveled up. Lingshan smiled bitterly. I really don't know if he has more tricks up his sleeves. And young bro, I won't hide it from you. But the last few cases I solved were all solved by Lin Yi, thanks to your advice. Solving cases? I know that. Eagle. Lin Yi was in our team back then, and he had a very sharp sense of smell, able to detect things that normal people can't. Huaijuan said. But the leveling up thing? I don't really know. But Lingshan, don't tell anyone about this. You have to keep it a secret, okay? This matter is too important. I know. Other than Yang Bro, my sister is the only one who knows about this. Lingshan said solemnly. She knew how serious this was, even if Lin Yi didn't seem to care much about it. He'd already leveled up the dog to a golden class late phase peak. Alright, let's end this topic here. Huaijuan didn't plan on asking for more details. He'd ask Lin Yi about the details himself. And he believed that Lin Yi wouldn't hide anything from him. It wouldn't be good for Lingshan to say it already. It'd be bad if Lin Yi did something to her. And so, Huaijuan changed the topic. Song, tell me why you're here. What kind of trouble are you in? Yeah, it's one missing person case after another. Lingshan took out the files and handed it to Huaijuan. Young bro, look at these files. From the looks of it, the missing people in these cases aren't related at all, but the cause of their disappearance is pretty much the same. Yeah, I'll take a look first. Huaijuan nodded and took the files, sitting on the bed and flipping through them. Lingshan didn't say anything, only waiting quietly. Chapter 1255. There's a clue. Yes. Lingshan nodded. Young bro, I feel like these cases seem normal, but there's so many coincidences that it's unusual. I feel like there's a possibility of combining all these cases, and so I'm putting them all together. But up until now, I still haven't figured out the motive of the culprit or the criminal organization. What's their goal? Even if they're the ones who caught the missing people, what's the point of them catching them? That's right. The fact that you're able to think of all this means that you've done your analysis. Huaijuan nodded. But haven't you noticed that all these missing people have one thing in common? What is it? Their occupations, their ages, they're all different. They don't even know each other. Lingshan blinked. They're the lowest class of workers in society, and none of them have good financial conditions. Huaijuan said as he pointed at the case files. None of these people's families are rich. If that's the case, then we can make a bold guess. Why would these people run away after beating people up? According to the case files, the victims in these cases are basically all lightly injured, or even worse than that. The suspects are the majority, and they only need to pay civil compensation. If their families were rich, they could just pay some money. Why would they run away? Huaijuan continued. Of course, this is just on the surface. Looking at it from a deeper level, these people's crimes and escapes are pretty much the same, and we can't just use superficial reasons to analyze it. Let's make a bold hypothesis. If I'm the mastermind, and I'm looking for people to do things for me to achieve a certain goal, I'll probably kill them after I'm done. Then, I'll create some false pretenses to confuse the police and the public, making them think that these people ran away on their own. It's completely reasonable. So you're saying that these people's disappearances were planned by someone, and that the missing people were even cooperating with the mastermind to put on a show? Lingshan said, shocked. She'd felt that something wasn't right before, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Now that Huaijuan said it, she understood. Yes. Huaijuan nodded. The missing person didn't cooperate, and the mastermind alone wouldn't be able to pull this off. How many people do you think would do something like that? If they just ran away after beating someone up? Even if it happens occasionally, it's very rare. How could so many people run away at once? Then, why would they cooperate? Is it because of benefits? Lingshan wasn't an idiot. She figured it out right away. This brings us back to the common point that I mentioned earlier. They are all from poor families. If people like them are given a chance to make money and are enticed, perhaps 50% of them will take the bait. Huai Juan nodded. So, I think you shouldn't put your focus on finding the missing people. If I'm not mistaken, they're either dead or locked up, and you won't have much of a chance of finding them. Your main focus should be on visiting some of the lower levels of society and asking around to see if there have been any recent attempts to use benefits to entice people to do something. I don't believe that the suspect can convince everyone 100% of the time. There must be people who refused, and you should look for clues from those who refused. That's right. Young bro, hearing you say that makes me feel like I've been enlightened. Lingshan said. Haha, it'll get better after a while. It's actually a very simple problem. I've just been exposed to it a lot. Huai Juan smiled. I think that as long as you follow this train of thought when you get back, you'll be able to solve the case pretty soon. Yes, thank you for the guidance, young bro. Lingshan said sincerely. Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about you and House Yu. Since you're engaged to House Yu, then Lin Yi. Huai Juan was still a little worried about Lin Yi. After all, House Yu was a big family, and it wouldn't be good if they got into a conflict. House Yu's way of doing things is very domineering. If they find out about Lin Yi, I'm afraid that they'll do something to him. Do something? Lingshan's face was a little weird. She smiled bitterly. Young bro, you're from a noble house as well. Didn't you hear about the big thing that happened in Songshan? What big thing? Huai Juan paused. I've been busy with the case these days, so I didn't pay attention to what the noble houses are doing. We, House Yang, on the other hand, are only able to maintain our position as one of the 5 small noble houses. As long as the elder of House Yang is there, our position won't be affected, so I didn't pay too much attention. Lin Yi and House Yu are enemies now. Lin Yi crippled House Yu's Yu Kuan and killed his father, Yu Bide. House Yu and Lin Yi have been enemies for a long time now. Lingshan smiled bitterly. Do you think that there's a chance that Lin Yi and House Yu would be able to resolve the conflict even if this didn't happen? Seriously? Huai Juan said as he stood up from the bed in shock. He didn't think that Lin Yi would be this strong. He'd only been in Songshan for a few days, and he'd already killed 2 masters from the head of the 9 noble houses. House Yu, wasn't this a little too strong? Huai Juan was worried that Lin Yi would be at a disadvantage in the conflict with House Yu, but who would have thought that it was House Yu who was at a disadvantage now? Huai Juan couldn't help but sigh. Captain is captain, after all. Anyone else would have died a long time ago if they killed 2 House Yu. But boss is perfectly fine. What a strong man. Yeah, Lingshan couldn't believe it as well, but this was the type of man she liked. She wouldn't like him if he was a coward, hiding when something happened. Forget it. I'm not going to get involved. Your business is too complicated. Huai Juan smiled bitterly. You want to stay here tonight? I'll treat you to dinner. It's okay. I can't wait to get back to work on this case. Lingshan was starting to get impatient now that she had a direction to work on. All right, next time then. I'm tight on time here as well. Huai Juan sighed. Bring Lin Yi with you next time. We can have a good chat. I have something to talk to him about. Forget it. I'll call him alone. Chapter 1256. Finding the mastermind after Lingshan left, Huai Juan picked up his phone and dialed Lin Yi's number. He had some things he wanted to talk to Lin Yi about, but after what Lingshan said today, he couldn't wait any longer and couldn't wait to meet up with Lin Yi. Huai Juan didn't tell Lin Yi before, because he didn't want Lin Yi to get involved. Huai Juan knew Lin Yi's personality, and there were some things that Lin Yi couldn't pretend not to know once he knew. But if Lin Yi really did something, it'd be very dangerous. But now, after hearing Lingshan's words, Huai Juan realized that he'd underestimated his captain. They hadn't even done anything yet, and they'd already become enemies with House Yu, killing 2 of their masters. There were some things that Huai Juan couldn't hide anymore. The reason why Huai Juan stayed in Donghai for this period of time was because this international drug trafficking case had something to do with what happened in the past. Otherwise, Huai Juan wouldn't have left his work in Songshan and come here to help. Usually, it was the captain or vice captain of the criminal police who was seconded to help with a case. and it was rare for the vice director to be seconded. This was because Huaijuan knew this drug trafficking case quite well, and he'd had a conflict with this drug cartel before. But as the investigation progressed, Huaijuan became more and more frustrated and helpless. Behind the drug trafficking group, there were some secrets that no one knew about. Back then, Huaijuan had returned from a mission in North Africa under orders to track down an international drug trafficker. It was this mission that caused his entire team to be annihilated, and Huaijuan had barely escaped with his life. But he'd almost died there as well. But all his martial arts were crippled, and his meridians were destroyed. Huaijuan had thought that it was just a coincidence, but a couple of days ago, he'd learned some secrets from a mid-level leader of a drug cartel who'd just been captured. The information the boss knew was vague, but it was enough for Huaijuan to understand what the mastermind was trying to do. They were vicious. Huaijuan knew that Lin Yi would avenge him and the Pangolin brothers if he found out about this. But Huaijuan didn't want Lin Yi to get hurt because of him. Lin Yi wasn't a match for them yet. But now, it seemed that none of that mattered. Brother Jun? Why are you calling me at this hour? You're back in Songshan? Lin Yi was studying with Xiao Xiao in the classroom when Huaijuan's call came in. No, I'm still in Donghai. Can we talk on the phone? Huaijuan asked. What is it? Lin Yi looked around. There weren't many people in the class, only Xiao Xiao was beside him. Most of the people were watching the singing competition on the field, and other than Xiao Xiao, no one else could hear Lin Yi's words. Ling Shan came just now to ask me about the case, but she brought some news with her. There wasn't that much hypocrisy between the two, and Huaijuan went straight to the point. Her strength increased from early phase peak to late phase peak of the golden class. Is that because of you? Yes, you can too. Lin Yi didn't hesitate at all. This is also why I called you last time. I can fix your meridians and bring your strength up to golden class late phase peak. Lin Yi admitting it so straightforwardly made Huaijuan a little uncomfortable. Huaijuan knew that Lin Yi wouldn't hide it from him, but leveling up wasn't something that could be done just like that. There had to be a lot of hard work involved, and Lin Yi helping Ling Shan might be because Lin Yi liked her, but Huaijuan, even if he was Lin Yi's brother, there was no need for Lin Yi to do something like this, was there? Yet, Lin Yi didn't even seem to think about it before blurting it out. Huaijuan was touched, but he couldn't help but think that Lin Yi would definitely avenge him and the armadillo if he were to tell Huaijuan about it. And so, Huaijuan decided to remind Lin Yi not to be impulsive. He had to tell him, but he had to warn him beforehand. Golden class late phase peak. Sounds tempting. Huaijuan smiled. Then I'll thank you first. You don't have to thank me. Junbro, you called me just for this? Lin Yi didn't think that Huaijuan was someone that impulsive, right? No, it's just a question. There's something important I need to tell you, but you have to promise me that you won't be impulsive after you hear the news. You have to plan before you act, and don't do anything you're not confident in yet. Huaijuan said seriously after a sigh. Oh, what is it? Lin Yi was curious at Huaijuan's seriousness. Junbro, what are you talking about? It's about my injury and Armadillo's death, Huaijuan said sorrowfully. I think I can guess who the mastermind is. Mastermind? Isn't it an international drug lord? Lin Yi's heart skipped a beat. Yes, but based on the evidence we have, we can deduce that this international drug trafficking organization is connected to House Yu, Huaijuan said. Which House Yu? Lin Yi's heart raced. Don't worry, it's not that hidden House Yu. It's the common world's House Yu, Huaijuan smiled. Junbro, you're joking again. Lin Yi didn't want to talk about the past and changed the topic. Are you sure it's House Yu? They should be the mastermind. These few years, the noble houses have been getting into accidents. I'm guessing that if House Yu wants to grow, they'll have to attack the other noble houses. I'm the hope of House Yang's rise in this generation, and I'm already a golden class at 16. My potential is limitless, so House Yu wants to kill me, but Armadillo and my other teammates are involved. Huaijuan guessed. House Yu? Very good. Lin Yi repeated the name faintly. Eagle, don't do anything stupid. Huaijuan's heart skipped a beat. He knew Lin Yi's personality. Lin Yi said it calmly, but Lin Yi didn't have any emotions when he talked about House Yu. Back on the battlefield, this was how Lin Yi acted before he was about to kill someone. Chapter 1257. Chapter 1255. Pangolin sister haha. Don't worry, Junebro. I won't do things I'm not confident in. Lin smiled. Yes, if it were the old Lin he would have gone straight to house you. But the current Lin was much more mature than before. Revenge required strategy, too. He'd be an idiot if he gave himself up instead of getting his revenge. I'm glad you said that. Huaijuan let out a sigh of relief. It's just a guess, though. I'm confident, but the evidence is still too little. If House Yu really is connected to the drug cartel, even if you don't do anything to him, I'll report it to the Secret Investigation Bureau and have them punish House Yu. A guess is enough. I don't like them anymore. One more guess is just one more reason to kill them. Linny said faintly. There's no place to vent, so I'll just put this on their heads. That. Do whatever you want. Huaijuan smiled bitterly. Right, there's one more thing. When I was reorganizing the cases, I pulled out the files of our fallen comrades. I wasn't a cop back then, so I didn't have the authority. After I came back, I didn't want to remember the past, so I chose to forget it on purpose. But when I pulled out the files a few days ago, I realized that many of our comrades had parents and even younger siblings at home. It hurt my heart to see them, so I decided to visit them one by one. I'll leave Pangolin to you then? Pangolin? He still has a family? Linny's expression was a little moved as his memories returned to that time. That kid always had a smile on his face. He remembered that he would always look at a picture on his pocket watch when there was no one around, not letting anyone see it. Linny used to tease him, saying that he was looking at a picture of his sweetheart, making Pangolin blush. Linny sighed. His former comrade in arms, where are you now? Did you really die? Pangolin has a sister, and coincidentally, she's also in Songshan. I just found out, Huaijuan said, a little emotional. Sister? He has a sister? In Songshan? Lin Yi was stunned. Could it be that the photo he saw before was of his sister? Yes, his sister is 16 years old this year and is in grade 9. She should be taking the senior high school entrance examination this year. Huaijuan said. Her sister's Ing Ziyu, in Fushan Middle School's class 6. Ing Ziyu? Linny sighed secretly. He didn't know how a little girl like her had survived all these years. Does she have any parents or relatives? No, Pangolin's parents were also special agents, and they both died in another mission. Pangolin has been raising his little sister since she was young. Huaijuan said. Armadillo received special training early on in order to support his sister. He became a secret agent, but that's enough. Linny felt the urge to cry. He didn't know how Ziyu got here. Her parents were dead, and her brother was sacrificed. Did she know about this? I found out through the household registration system. If she wasn't in Songshan, it wouldn't be easy to find her. She's already moved, and her brother's certificate and pension haven't been received. Huaijuan smiled bitterly. If I didn't look into it, I would have missed it. So you're saying that this Ing Ziyu doesn't know that her brother died? Lin Yi's heart grew heavier. How was he supposed to tell Ziyu that he had to go see her? She wanted him to personally tell her that her brother was dead? Yes. Huaijuan sighed. That's why I wanted you to go, Captain. You're about the same age as her. You should be easier to communicate with. I wouldn't know how to tell her. Don't bullshit. I'm about the same age as her. She's just a little girl. How am I supposed to tell her? Linny said helplessly. If you really don't want to go, then wait for me to get back to Songshan. We'll go together and give her the certificate and pension, Huaijuan said, knowing the pain Lin Yi was feeling. Let's forget about the certificate and pension for now. We didn't find the body, right? Maybe Armadillo's still fine. Lin Yi quickly stopped her. According to what Huaijuan said, Ziyu probably didn't know about her brother's death yet, and she was about to take her high school entrance exams. It'd be a huge blow to her if she found out. So Lin Yi didn't want to tell her this straight away. At least wait until she got into high school, right? That's right, no news is good news. Huaijuan nodded. All right, I'll go see her in a bit. I'm free anyway. It was fine if Lin Yi didn't know, but now that he knew Armadillo had a sister, Lin Yi couldn't just ignore it. He had to see if Ziyu was doing well. Armadillo was gone, and he was her brother. He had to take care of her. Armadillo was like Huaijuan. They were friends who'd gone through life and death together. Okay, that's all for now. Don't worry about House Yu too much. Don't alert them. Huijuan's last sentence was actually to keep Lin Yi in check. Don't worry, Jun bro. I know what I'm doing. Lin Yi nodded. After hanging up, Lin Yi wasn't in a good mood. Although there were many kids like Ziyu who'd lost their parents and brother, they had nothing to do with him. But Armadillo's sister was different. Lin Yi was a heartless person, but he was a person who valued relationships. Lin Yi was cold to strangers and enemies, but he cared about his friends and lovers. Lin Yi, honey, what's wrong? You don't seem very happy. Xiao Xiao had been paying attention to Lin Yi's face. She didn't know who Lin Yi was talking to, but she could feel the heaviness in Lin Yi's heart. It's nothing. Xiao Xiao, are you free now? Want to go out with me? Lin Yi asked. Oh, you mean the sister of that person you were talking about? Xiao Xiao didn't really understand what Lin Yi was talking about, but she got the gist of it. Yes, the sister of one of my comrades. Lin Yi sighed. That comrade sacrificed himself. He was my good brother. Chapter 1258. She was Ziyu. Lin Yi didn't drive today. He stopped a taxi at the school gates and headed to Fushan High. On the way, Lin Yi got a text from Huijuan, sending Ziyu's information and pictures. Wow, she's pretty. Lin Yi, honey, are you interested in her? Xiao Xiao smiled as she looked at the pretty girl on Lin Yi's phone. Lin Yi was speechless. He glared at Xiao Xiao. She's just a little girl. Why would I be interested? That's obviously from her ID. She must be prettier in real life if she's this pretty. Xiao Xiao said. Not as pretty as you. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Really? 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 Xiao Xiao's eyes turned into crescents after hearing Lin Yi's words. She looked at Lin Yi excitedly and blissfully. Really? Lin Yi nodded. Then me, Tangyun sis, Yao Yao sis and Shu. Who's the prettiest? Xiao Xiao continued. All of you. Lin Yi didn't want to start a war, but he was being truthful. There was no way to tell who was the prettiest, just like Chunhua and Qiuyu. They were both the prettiest, and they had their own specialties. It wasn't easy to put them together. Man, I knew you'd say that. But that's fine. It's the fairest. Xiao Xiao wasn't annoyed. I thought you'd say Tangyun sis is the prettiest. Haha. Lin Yi shrugged, not saying much. Since they were in the taxi, Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao didn't talk about anything too personal. When they were about to reach Fushan High School, the taxi driver stopped the car on the side of the road not far away and said, You too. I'll stop here. I don't dare to drive over and smash my car again. Lin Yi was stunned. What do you mean? You guys came to Fushan High. Don't you know what it looks like? The driver looked at Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao oddly. What? Is there something wrong with Fushan High School? Lin Yi wasn't from Songshan, so naturally he didn't know much about Fushan High. Xiao Xiao, on the other hand, was in Songshan First High for a while before transferring to another school. Fushan High was very far from the main city, and if it weren't for Lin Yi, she wouldn't even know that there was a high school like this in Songshan. Fushan Middle School is the most chaotic middle school in the city. The students there smoke, drink, fight, take drugs, and have promiscuous relationships. In short, it can't be any worse. The driver shook his head. This is a hooligan school. The students who come out of here are either arrested or become hooligans. Lin Yi broke out in a cold sweat. It can't be, right? Ziyu went to school here? Smoking, drinking, and fighting was one thing, but taking drugs and having promiscuous relationships? A few black lines appeared on Lin Yi's head. There aren't any good students here? The ones that study hard? Xiao Xiao's face was a little weird as well, but Xiao Xiao was more natural. She was a problem student in the past, messing around in society. Even good students are led astray. The driver curled his lips. If they really wanted to study, they'd have applied to transfer to other schools already. Here, they're all degenerating. I only dared to drive you here because you two are from Songshan First High. I wouldn't even dare drive a student wearing the Fushan High uniform. Not only would I not pay, I'd probably get beaten up and smash the car. So messy. As Lin Yi sighed, he felt bad as well. She was his comrade's sister, after all. If she really did drugs and promiscuous relationships, Lin Yi really wouldn't know what to do. Lin Yi could force her to detox, but he still felt guilty. Yeah, I gotta go. Good luck, you guys. Don't you see there's a fight going on over there? I don't know where they're from, but they're all armed with knives and metal sticks. The driver pointed at the school gates and said to Lin Yi, "Thank you." Lin Yi nodded and got off the car with Xiao Xiao. Fushan High, now that he mentioned it, I do have some impression of it. There were indeed some delinquents that came from Fushan High back in society. Xiao Xiao said after some thought. Who cares? Let's see how Ziyu is. Lin Yi's steps were a little heavy. He wondered how he'd treat Ziyu, who lived a life of debauchery. The old Lin Yi wouldn't bother with people like this, but now he had to. Fushan Middle School looked very shabby. The red brick walls of the school were from an unknown era. There were some advertisements for STD treatment and certificate applications. There were also some small advertisements for K-powder. It was enough to show how chaotic the school was. Sure enough, at the school gate, there were two groups of students confronting each other. Every student held a knife and a metal rod in their hands. Some of them were shirtless, some of them had shaved their heads, and some of them even had tattoos. It was similar to a gang fight in gangster movies. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. These people blocked the school gates, and Lin Yi had to wait for them to finish fighting if he wanted to go over. These people were nothing in Lin Yi's eyes, and killing them was easier than killing ants. But Lin Yi didn't want to stick his nose in other people's business. These people's lives had nothing to do with him, and he'd have one less scum of society if he killed them. If they didn't die, they'd be taken in by Zhou Tianyi or Cihua after graduation, becoming scum of society. Lin Yi held Xiao Xiao's hand, watching the fight from the side. Ziyu, you little bitch, I'll give you two choices today. 1. Be my girl, and your underling will be my underling. If you stay by my side, you'll be able to eat and drink well. When others see you, they'll respectfully call you sister-in-law. You'll be even better than you are now. Blocking the entrance of Fushan Middle School, a scar-faced man, who was the leader of a group of people, raised a shiny knife and shouted at the other group of people. Pfft. Lin Yi's eyes went wide. As if someone stepped on his tail, he almost jumped up. What? Ziyu? Lin Yi looked in the direction the scar-faced man was pointing at and saw a girl in black tights, holding a knife in her hand as well. Behind her was a group of students with knives, guns, and clubs as well, but this group was clearly smaller than the scar-faced man's group. Chapter 1259. Chapter 1257. Telling you to scram, but her face didn't look as pretty as it did in the picture. It was filled with coldness. She was pretty, but the hatred in her eyes made Lin Yi frown. This girl seemed to be a gang leader. She seemed to be cutting people up quite a bit. Lin Yi had thought that Ziyu was a problem girl, but he didn't think it would be to this extent. About the same as you used to be? Lin Yi looked at Xiao Xiao. I'm not as strong as her. I'm just messing around, but she's already cutting people up with her gang. Xiao Xiao shook her head. Lin Yi nodded. Xiao Xiao was right. Xiao Xiao had been studying in a better school, and even as a big sister, she couldn't be like Ziyu, bringing a bunch of gang members with her. This is Ziyu? Fuck. Lin Yi couldn't help but curse. Lin Yi normally wouldn't curse, but he really couldn't hold it in today. What? You really want to fuck her? Xiao Xiao blinked. Lin Yi glared at her. Don't joke around. I don't know how to do it. I'm a bit helpless. I thought she was a punching bag with no parents, no big brother to take care of her. But we'll see. Xiao Xiao understood Lin Yi's feelings. Bullshit. Scarface Bear, have you forgotten how you got that scar on your head? How dare you come to Fushan High and act all cocky? Ziyu didn't back down. You want to hit on me? Why don't you take a look at yourself? Your face is simply a work of the gods. Why don't you just die? Ziyu, who doesn't know how to talk. You're right, I got this scar because of you. But so what? I swore right then that I'd get you on my bed and fuck you to death. Scarface, who was called Scar Bear, snorted and said, however, I, Scar Bear, am not the same as before. I'm now working for Brother Guang. Brother Guang has already given me Fushan Middle School's territory. I'm here today to take over Fushan Middle School. Otherwise, do you think I would have dared to come here if I wasn't sure? Why don't you look at the people behind me? Ziyu's face changed after hearing the words. She felt that something wasn't right too. This Scar Bear was just a gangster. How did he get so many people? Moreover, the knives and iron rods in their hands were very professional. It turned out that they had come from another dock. So what if there are more people? When Phylong Bro comes, your men will all die here today. Ziyu frowned, but she wasn't too worried. Fushan High School was divided into 3 factions. Although he was the smallest faction, he had a good relationship with the leader of the largest faction, Nan Phylong. Thus, Nan Phylong couldn't just stand by and watch if something happened to him. Southern Phylong? How naive of you. Women are indeed naive. Scar Bear laughed, not caring at all. How long has it been since I came here? Your follower went to tell Nan Phylong long ago, right? Where is he? Why isn't he here yet? Ziyu's face changed. It wasn't that she didn't think of this, but she had a good relationship with Nan Phylong. She didn't think that he wouldn't come, but now, haha, what? You don't believe me? I'll tell you the truth. Nan Phylong has already made me his boss. Moreover, I've promised him that I'll help him consolidate Fushan High's power. From now on, he'll be the only boss in Fushan High. Scar Bear laughed heartily. Do you think Nan Phylong will stick up for you? You bitch. Do you know why Nan Phylong would help you? Because he's always wanted to F***ck you. But you didn't let him, so he gave you to me. Do you really think you're friends with Nan Phylong? Ziyu's face was green. She didn't want to believe it, but Scar Bear's words had to be true. Scar Bear, I'm telling you, I won't follow you even if I die. You're disgusting. Ziyu gritted her teeth. Either you let me go and we'll be fine, or I'll bring my men to fight you. Fuck. Scar Bear spat on the ground, cursing. Ziyu, don't be so shameless. Fight? I'm telling you, after I kill all your men, I'll tie you up and get my brothers to gang rape you. You'll be treated differently then. You dare. Ziyu said. I'll kill you. Haha, come at me then. Let's see who kills who. Scar Bear waved his hand, signaling his men to get ready. Linny honey, it's usually time for the master to show up at this point in a TV show. Aren't you going to show up? Xiao Xiao called out. Huh. Linny smiled bitterly, speechless. What master? But Linny couldn't just ignore this. Did he come at the right time? If he'd come a second later, Ziyu would have been killed already? Otherwise, he would have been gang raped? From the looks of it, Ziyu wasn't some random girl, or she wouldn't be this stubborn. This made Linny feel a little better. All right, this has nothing to do with you. Get the hell out of here. Linny walked over and looked at Scar Bear before pointing at Ziyu. I have business with her. Wah. Scar Bear froze. Scar Bear's men froze. Even Ziyu and her underlings froze. They didn't think that someone would appear out of nowhere. Was this guy an idiot? How could he say something so stupid? Even Ziyu was wondering if there was something wrong with this guy's brain. Telling Scar Bear to fuck off? Ha 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 ha. Immediately, Scar Bear and his subordinates burst into laughter. They looked at Linny as if they were looking at an idiot. Ignorance was bliss after all. Kid, what did you just say? You're telling me to fuck off? Scar Bear dug his ear, acting like he didn't hear him clearly. He wasn't annoyed at all, looking at Linny with interest as if he was looking at a dead man. As far as he was concerned, there was no need to get angry over an idiot like Linny. Linny was an idiot, and he could kill him any time he wanted. Scar Bear wouldn't bother with an idiot. Yeah, I'm telling you to fuck off. Linny looked at Scar Bear. Why aren't you leaving? Chapter 1260. My words don't work? Linny looked up at Scar Bear and saw that he had no intention of leaving. He frowned. What's good about it? Are you retarded? If you're good, then get the F***ck out. Why are you still standing here? Me? Scar Bear looked like he heard the funniest joke in the world. He pointed at himself in Songshan. There are people who dare to tell me to F***ck off, but it's definitely not you. My words don't work? Linny asked. You have some self-awareness? Scar Bear laughed when he heard Linny. My words don't work? Then I won't say it. Linny nodded. You shouldn't have said it. Who do you think you are? Yelling in front of me, Scar Bear. Do you want to die? Scar Bear laughed coldly and said proudly, kneel down right now and crawl under my crotch. Then I'll let this go. Linny didn't wait for him to finish and slapped him on the face. Half of Scar Bear's face caved in. His teeth and cheekbones were probably all broken. Since words don't work, then I'll use force. Linny slapped again and caved in the other half of Scar Bear's face. What are you doing? Let go of Brother Bear. Scar Bear's lackeys were confused by Lin Yi's actions. When they reacted, they pointed at Lin Yi and yelled. Lin Yi, however, didn't care about the lackeys behind Scar Bear at all. He kicked Scar Bear's crotch, and the sound of something shattering accompanied the pain. Scar Bear clutched his crotch with both hands as he fell to the ground, rolling around in pain. Can't you just F***ck off yourself? You still want me to F***ck off for you? Linny shook his head and kicked Scar Bear again. Another crisp sound rang out. Scar Bear's leg was broken by Lin Yi's kick. The reason why Lin Yi did this to Scar Bear was because he wanted to do something to Ziyu. Since she was the pangolin's little sister, then Lin Yi treated her as his own sister. If someone wanted to harm her, then Lin Yi would naturally eliminate them. However, in public, it was not impossible for Lin Yi to kill Scar Bear, but it was possible for him to cripple him. As long as this kind of gangster didn't die, no one would have the nerve to call the police. Scar Bear's underlings were dumbfounded. They had seen ruthless characters, but they had never heard of someone as ruthless as Lin Yi. With just a few words, Lin Yi had broken both sides of Scar Bear's cheekbones. Not only did he turn into a eunuch, he even broke one of his legs. Just what kind of person was this? This brat looked very amiable, but he didn't expect that he would be so merciless when he attacked. You. Just who are you? How dare you hurt Brother Bear? Don't you know who our Brother Bear is working for? One of Scar Bear's lackeys questioned Lin Yi, but it was obvious that he was afraid of Lin Yi's ferocity as well. You want to stand up for him? Lin Yi looked at the underling. The underling looked at Lin Yi's cold eyes, and he was a little scared. If he said he wanted revenge for Scar Bear, wouldn't Lin Yi beat him up just like Scar Bear? And so, the underling wasn't stupid after some hesitation. He waved his blade and yelled to the underlings behind him, Everyone, attack! Kill this kid and get revenge for Brother Bear. Ouch! But the next moment, just as he finished speaking, there was a scream. The blade that was originally in his hand had somehow fallen into Lin Yi's hand and stabbed into his thigh. The underling was in so much pain that his eyes rolled back and he fainted on the ground. He was even more vulnerable than Scar Bear. Are you also here to avenge them? Lin Yi ignored the underling from before and looked up at the remaining people. No. The man closest to Lin Yi was scared out of his wits. He threw the blade in his hand to the ground. He was afraid that if he spoke too slowly, there would be 2 more holes in his thighs. The guy in front of him was obviously a violent madman. His speed was unbelievable. Before he could see what was going on, there were already 2 people lying on the ground. So, this person didn't have the intention to resist Lin Yi at all. He was afraid that Lin Yi would beat him up, so he quickly put down his weapon and surrendered. If there was 1, there would be 2. If there was 2, there would be 3. The people who originally wanted to fight with Lin Yi saw that their companions had surrendered. Who would be stupid enough to continue looking for trouble with Lin Yi? We don't have the intention to take revenge. We'll leave now. A few people near Lin Yi had already turned around and were ready to leave. Wait, carry these 2 pieces of trash away. Lin Yi pointed to Scar Bear and his underling on the ground. Although these people who were preparing to leave were afraid and unwilling to turn back, who knew what the consequences would be if they didn't go back? Fortunately, this person seemed to be reasonable. As long as they did what he said, then there shouldn't be any problems. So, the few people who left turned back, carried Scar Bear and his underling, and ran away dejectedly. In fact, these people only felt that they had lost face. As for whether or not they wanted to avenge Scar Bear and his subordinate who had his thigh slashed, that was secondary. These people were the lowest rung of society, and Scar Bear had just gotten his position, and it was Guang Bro who sent him over. Other than this underling who was his direct follower, the others were all sent by Guang Bro. All they wanted was to report this to Guang Bro as soon as possible. You're looking for me? Ziyu looked at Lin Yi oddly. This guy's methods were clearly very cruel, even more so than the gangster she was working for. But the more it was like this, the more she couldn't figure out where Lin Yi was coming from. Was he here to help, or did he have some other purpose? As far as Ziyu was concerned, Lin Yi's arrival was too much of a coincidence. Scarbear's men were here looking for trouble, and Lin Yi appeared and dealt with them. But Ziyu had never seen Lin Yi before, and she didn't know Lin Yi. She hadn't even heard of this person before. Ziyu? Ziyu asked as Lin Yi studied the girl in front of him. You're looking for me? You don't know who I am? Ziyu was even more puzzled. Lin Yi didn't seem to know her, and wanted to confirm if she was Ziyu or not. I'm Zijia's friend, Lin Yi said. Chapter 1261. Chapter 1259. Taking over your guardianship, your brother went on a mission. It'll take a couple years, and he won't be back for a while. He gave you to me to discipline you for him, Lin Yi said with a frown as he looked at Ziyu's clothes. TCH, why should I believe you? Discipline me for my brother? Ziyu found it funny and snorted. What right do you have to discipline me? My brother doesn't care about me. He's him, I'm me. Lin Yi reached out and tousled Ziyu's colorful hair. Dye it back to black, or I'll shave you bald. Don't touch my hair. My hairstyle. Ziyu screamed, glaring at Lin Yi. I'll kill you. Whatever, as long as you can beat me. Lin Yi ignored her, continuing to cause trouble for Ziyu. Don't wear those tights anymore. It'll affect your growth. Those boobs are so big. They're squeezed out, right? Throw that bra away, or it'll get deformed sooner or later. Ziyu was going crazy. She wanted to kill Lin Yi with one slash, but thinking back to how Lin Yi treated Scarbear and his men, she was sure that if she attacked Lin Yi, she'd be the one getting beaten up. He was her brother's friend, and he wouldn't kill her, but it wouldn't be easy for him. Ziyu's men stared at each other, not daring to laugh. They'd seen Lin Yi's strength firsthand, so they didn't dare to say anything when Lin Yi insulted their boss. They knew that Ziyu had a very strong brother, a special ops soldier, very strong. He could tell just from Ziyu's kung fu alone. Otherwise, a woman like Ziyu wouldn't have this much prestige, becoming the big sister boss. Since Lin Yi was Ziyu's brother's friend, it made sense. No wonder he was so strong. He might even be a special ops soldier. I don't need you to care about me. Who the hell knows you? Ziyu glared at Lin Yi, drawing a line between them. I was entrusted by your brother to take over your guardianship. It's compulsory, so you don't have the right to resist. Of course, I won't object if you want to resist, but I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lin Yi could tell that a problem girl like Ziyu was the only way to deal with her. She wouldn't listen to a soft approach, and so, Lin Yi beating up Scarbear and his men was the first step to showing his strength. After that, Lin Yi demanded Ziyu change this and that, using a commanding tone, not a negotiating tone. He didn't want Ziyu to bargain with him. You? Why should I believe you? Ziyu had pretty much confirmed Lin Yi's identity by now. She'd never mentioned her brother's name to anyone, and with Lin Yi's skills, he was probably her brother's comrade. Lin Yi took out his phone and logged into an encrypted photo album. He found a picture of himself, Armadillo, Yang Huijuan, and the others. Lin Yi kept these pictures in his photo album, rarely touching them. But since he wanted Ziyu to believe him, he had to show her some evidence. This is a picture of me with your brother, 5 years ago. People like us don't take pictures often. Lin Yi lowered his voice so that only Ziyu could hear. This was taken at the end of the mission in North Africa. I was the captain, and your brother was my subordinate. Ziyu blinked. She didn't expect Lin Yi to be the captain. Didn't that mean he was even stronger than her brother? She took over Lin Yi's phone and looked at the picture. She had this picture too. It was always on her brother's table, so she wasn't unfamiliar with it. She just didn't pay attention to the other people in the picture. He held it in his hand and looked at it attentively. The person in the middle of the picture really did look like the Lin Yi in front of him, but a lot younger. A lot more childish. Ziyu paused. How old was Lin Yi 5 years ago? He didn't look older than 19 now. 5 years ago, wouldn't he be 13 or 14? Looking at the little boy Lin Yi in the picture, Ziyu couldn't help but smile. This is you? You're a little dumb. Ziyu looked at Lin Yi with a smile that wasn't a smile. Lin Yi didn't know what to say as he grabbed the phone. All right, now that we've confirmed your identity, listen to me from now onwards. I'll take you to dye your hair and buy some clothes. From tomorrow on, study hard. And if you dare come out and act like a big sister again, I'll... Oh. Lin Yi frowned. He couldn't think of a way to punish Ziyu. Lin Yi didn't have any experience dealing with a girl at all. He turned around and looked at Xiao Xiao for help. If she doesn't listen, you're going to spank her. Xiao Xiao said. If you don't listen, I'll spank you. Lin Yi nodded and repeated it to Ziyu. He felt that Xiao Xiao's idea wasn't bad, but it wasn't very appropriate. He didn't know what was wrong, so he didn't think too much about it. Ziyu's eyes went wide. Spank my butt? Ever since she was young, no one had ever spanked her, not even her eldest brother. Where did this inexplicable big brother's captain come from? He actually wanted to spank him? Didn't he know that men and women shouldn't touch? All of a sudden, Ziyu felt like she was going crazy. But thinking back to Lin Yi's merciless orders, Ziyu felt that Lin Yi really might spank her. You, don't you dare. Ziyu glared at Xiao Xiao. Where did this girl come from? Coming out with such a dirty move? Why didn't he spank her? Ziyu didn't know that Xiao Xiao wasn't being spanked by Lin Yi, but by firecrackers. She was in an even worse state. You'll find out if you try. Lin Yi grabbed Ziyu by the collar like he was grabbing a little chick before looking at the students behind her. All right, disperse. You're so young, yet you're still trying to act like a big brother in the underworld? Go back to your studies. Ziyu's lackeys didn't dare say anything as they watched their big sis get grabbed. This guy was a cruel psychopath. Just one word and he'd start a fight. Didn't they see how arrogant Scarbear was? He was beaten to the point that he didn't even look human. He probably wouldn't be able to get out of bed for at least a year or two. And these people were just students naturally. They weren't as cruel as Scarbear. Even Scarbear's lackeys ran away. How could they go against Lin Yi? Chapter 1262. It was this pretty boy. This area belonged to the North District, and Scarbear was someone Guangbro had just helped get to his position. Now that he was crippled, it'd be weird if Guangbro didn't bring his men to take revenge. Ziyu didn't want to be controlled by Lin Yi, but she didn't want anything to happen to her men. She thought of a good idea. Nan Filong was unreliable now, and if she wanted to survive in Fushan, she had to get rid of Guangbro. No matter how powerful Fushan Middle School was, it was nothing compared to Guanggu, who was in the underworld. I can go with you, but the trouble you've caused isn't over yet. Those people are going to call for reinforcements, and Guangbro will come looking for trouble later. I can't just leave my men here. Of course, if you can take care of Guangbro, I'll go with you. Ziyu said as she broke free from Lin Yi's grip. Huh. What Guangbro? But that's fine. We'll wait. Lin Yi didn't care about this Guangbro at all. In Songshan, Lin Yi could even beat up Qibing and Sihua. What was Guangbro to him? You're a secret agent, but let me tell you, no matter how strong you are, you can't beat a group of people. They have guns. Ziyu reminded him kind-heartedly. This guy was annoying and a busybody, but Ziyu didn't want him to die just like that. You don't have to worry about that, Lin Yi said faintly. At this time, on the other side of the school field, a group of people surrounded a young man in a black trench coat and walked over here. Ziyu sis, it's Long Bro. One of Ziyu's lackeys said quickly. Ziyu's eyes darkened. Nan Filong, that two-faced bastard. Scarbear had left, but he had come. Ziyu, you didn't expect this, did you? You managed to get reinforcements? Nan Filong spoke in a strange tone even before he got close. It was obvious that he was well informed. News of Lin Yi teaching Scarbear a lesson had already reached his ears. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said such things. Nan Filong, if you're not going to help me, can't I find someone else? Ziyu puffed her chest out. For the first time, she felt that Lin Yi's appearance was a good thing. She could deal a blow to Filong. Bitch, looks like you've already hooked up with someone else. A ruthless glint flashed across Nan Filong's eyes. He lifted his head and looked at Lin Yi. Pretty boy, you're finished. You hit Scarbear, and Brother Guang is rushing over with his men. You're dead meat today. Ziyu. Who's this idiot? Lin Yi had clearly heard Ziyu call him Filong, but he still repeated it. Evidently, Lin Yi didn't care about Filong at all. It's summer, and you're still wearing a windbreaker? Isn't he afraid of getting heat rash? Ziyu couldn't help but chuckle. That was quite a sarcastic thing to say, but it made sense. This Fai Long was always trying to act cool, thinking that he was Su Wenxiang just by wearing a trench coat, walking around the school like he was Su Wenxiang. She didn't think much of it before, but Fei Long's betrayal today made Ziyu feel like this guy had a pointy mouth and cheeks, and he looked like an extra in a TV show. It was quite comical. Fuck. Pretty boy, you don't need to be cocky. Guang Bro will be here soon, and you'll die then. Fai Long humphed coldly. He didn't want to argue with Lin Yi. After all, he'd heard of Lin Yi's strength, and he knew that he wasn't a match for Lin Yi. He chose to endure it for now, waiting for Guang Bro to come, and then Lin Yi would be a dead dog. I was going to wait for him even if you didn't say anything. Lin Yi looked at Fai Long. This idiot was on Lin Yi's list of people he needed to get rid of. He heard Scarbear say that this guy liked Ziyu, and he'd make him a eunuch, too. He wasn't a good guy anyway. A mocking smile appeared on Fei Long's lips. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi didn't know the difference between heaven and earth. Guang Bro was a man with a gun, and no matter how strong Lin Yi was, he'd still be dead in front of a gun. Lin Yi, honey, this guy's so annoying. He doesn't look like a good guy. Why don't you take care of him? Xiao Xiao pointed at Fai Long. Oh, I'll let that Guang Bro take care of him later. Lin Yi nodded. Ziyu's mouth twitched. This girl beside Lin Yi was pretty fierce, wasn't she? You can kill whoever you want? She wasn't a secret agent, was she? Fei Long's face was full of disdain. He didn't think that Lin Yi could do anything in front of Guang Bro at all. One had to know that Guang Bro was the boss of the North District, someone who could shake up Songshan with a stomp of his foot. A minibus rushed toward Fushan Middle School, and Fai Long Nan's eyes flashed with a trace of joy. The minibus stopped at the entrance of Fushan Middle School. Once the door opened, more than 30 youths jumped out. Each of them was much more mature and ruthless than the people Scarbear had brought. These people were probably real gang members, probably the backbone of Brother Guang's underlings. He had brought all of them in order to keep up appearances. What's going on? Who beat up Scarbear? Who dares to cause trouble in Guang Bro's territory? Do they want to die? A blonde-haired youth walked over with a bunch of bulky men. Fei Long's eyes lit up when he saw Guang Bro. He sprinted towards Guang Bro. In his heart, he had his own plans. It seemed like Scarbear wouldn't be able to get out of the hospital for at least a year or two, but the North District's Fushan High area needed a new boss. And so Fai Long saw an opportunity. If he grasped this opportunity well, then he might very well become the boss of Fushan High. Among all the forces around Fushan Middle School, he was the most powerful, and so Fai Long was very attentive, running up to Guang Bro as soon as he arrived. Guang Bro, it's this pretty boy. It's that Ziyu, that bitch, got her help. Fai Long was a cunning man, immediately identifying Lin Yi as Ziyu's lover. This way, Ziyu would be a piece of trash, and Guang Bro wouldn't be interested in her. Once Lin Yi died, wouldn't Ziyu be his plaything? Chapter 1263. Chapter 1261. Help me watch her, wah? Guang Bro, who was surrounded by people, froze when he saw Lin Yi standing beside Ziyu. Lin Yi? Why was it Lin Yi? Guang Bro wanted to die. Yes, he really wanted to die. If he knew that Lin Yi was here, he wouldn't have come. He wouldn't have come even if he had to give up the entire North District, let alone Fushan Middle School. This Guang Bro was, naturally, the boss of the North District, Zhou Ruoguang. At this moment, his expression was very interesting and very unsightly. Zhou Ruoguang knew very well what happened to Jiningjun. So what if Ma Zhu was strong? Didn't he get crippled by Hayashi Lin? Hayashi Lin was fine, and he was still alive and kicking. He heard that Ma Zhu's Shifu was coming down the mountain, and Zhou Ruoguang didn't think much of it. So what if it was his Shifu? In front of the omnipotent Hayashi Lin, his Shifu was just a piece of trash. Motherf asterisk Kerr. Zhou Ruoguang was so angry that he slapped Fai Long Nan's face. A crisp slap sounded, stunning Fai Long and his men. Even most of Zhou Ruoguang's men were stunned. Only a small portion of Zhou Ruoguang's men had seen Lin Yi before, and they knew that Lin Yi was a ruthless man. They understood why Zhou Ruoguang would go crazy and beat up Fai Long. Guang Bro. Fai Long was stunned and didn't know what to do. He covered his mouth and mumbled, Guang Bro, It wasn't me. It was that pretty boy. He was the one who beat Scar Bear, not me. You hit the wrong person. He did a good job. He did a good job. Zhou Ruoguang was shocked and quickly said, I'm hitting you. I didn't hit the wrong person. Even Ziyu and her men were dumbfounded. What was wrong with this Guangbro? Did he just slap Nan Filong? Had Brother Guang gone mad? But no matter what, Ing Ziyu and her men were happy that Filong was beaten up. Filong was even more dumbfounded. I didn't make a mistake? Then why did Brother Guang hit him? Kill this brat for me. Beat them to death. Zhou Ruoguang pointed at the wyvern and ordered his men. Nan Filong was definitely an enemy of Lin Yi's faction. In that case, Hayashi Lin didn't even need to do anything. He would deal with him himself. Yes, although many of Zhou Ruoguang's men didn't understand what was going on, since their boss had spoken, then they would fight. Thus, Nan Filong was surrounded and howled like a ghost. Zhou Ruoguang's men, on the other hand, were all experienced fighters. They could make people feel pain without causing any injuries. Guangbro only said to beat him to death, not kill him directly, so these people didn't dare go all out. You, come here. Lin Yi waved at Zhou Ruoguang. Zhou Ruoguang jumped in fright. He looked like he was in pain, but he didn't dare disobey Lin Yi's words. He could only carefully walk over to Lin Yi. Hayashi Lin, you're here. Look, in the North District, there are still some troublemakers causing trouble in front of Hayashi Lin. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. Zhou Ruoguang's attitude was very low. Zhou Ruoguang knew very well what kind of person Lin Yi was. If Lin Yi wanted to mess with you, he didn't even need to kill you. He'd make you wish you were dead. Ziyu's eyes widened in disbelief. Why was the boss of the North District, Guangbro, acting like this in front of Lin Yi? Did he get beaten up by Lin Yi as well? Don't talk like that. Lin Yi frowned. No need to explain. I'm not going to do anything to you. Since you're here, I have something to tell you. Hayashi Lin, just say the word. Don't worry, I'll get it done. Zhou Ruoguang patted his chest and promised that Lin Yi was looking for him. This was a great chance to repair his relationship with Lin Yi. He'd be an idiot if he didn't take this opportunity. That Nan Filong, just cripple him. No need to kill him. Lin Yi pointed at Zhou Ruoguang's men, who were beating the crap out of Filong. Zhou Ruoguang was just a gangster, after all, and he'd probably be held responsible for killing someone in public. Lin Yi didn't want to hurt him. Yes. Zhou Ruoguang nodded and turned to his men. Did you hear that? Hayashi Lin told you to cripple that Nan Filong. Kick him in the crotch. Nan Filong's underling hurriedly responded, and Nan Filong squealed like a pig being slaughtered. Ziyu's mouth twitched once more. This Lin Yi was really cruel, wasn't he? But the weird thing was, how did he order Zhou Ruoguang around? Hayashi Lin, is there anything else you need me to do? Zhou Ruoguang asked curiously. If it was just crippling Nan Filong, Lin Yi could do it too. It was such a simple thing, just like crippling Scar Bear. Lin Yi did it so easily. Yes, there's more. Lin Yi grabbed Ziyu's collar and pulled her in front of him, turning to Zhou Ruoguang. Do you know her? Yes, Ing Ziyu, Fushan High School, the big sister of the third gang. Zhou Ruoguang didn't know what Lin Yi was talking about, but Lin Yi seemed to be a little close with Ziyu. So, in this uncertain situation, Zhou Ruoguang introduced Ziyu without any emotions. Zhou Ruoguang, of course, knew Ziyu. He'd been drooling over her before, but thinking about it, a delinquent girl like her had probably been ked countless times already. Zhou Ruoguang wasn't that interested anymore. Yes, good. She's my sister now. I need her to study hard. Keep an eye on her. Call me immediately if she's messing around in society again. Lin Yi ordered. No problem. Zhou Ruoguang was thankful that he hadn't played with Ziyu before, or he'd probably be kicked into a eunuch by Lin Yi today. Wiping his sweat, Zhou Ruoguang ignored Ziyu's murderous glare. No problem. Leave it to me. Leave it to me from now on. In the North District, I'm the most well-informed. Don't worry, Hayashi Lin. I'll make sure Miss Ziyu studies hard every day. Otherwise, I'll be the one to blame. Zhou Ruoguang was overjoyed. Being able to do something for Lin Yi was a great thing. He was worried that he wouldn't be able to get close to Lin Yi, but now that he was doing things for Lin Yi, how so would be Lin Yi's doggone name. Lin Yi wouldn't attack his own people, would he? Chapter 1264. Chapter 1262. Can't fight back, you're the boss of the North District. Why are you acting like a dog? Ziyu looked at Zhou Ruoguang, a little disgusted. She used to worship him, thinking that he had to be something to be able to become the boss of the North District at such a young age. She didn't expect him to be a bootlicker, and hearing him promise to Lin Yi that he'd keep an eye on her and not let her go out, that pissed her off even more. She couldn't help but mock him. With Lin Yi here, she wasn't afraid. If it were before, Ziyu wouldn't have a good ending if she said something like that to Zhou Ruoguang. But now, Zhou Ruoguang didn't care at all. He turned around with a grin. Miss Ziyu, don't blame me. It's hard for me too. You're Hayashi Lin's godsister, but I still have to listen to Hayashi Lin, don't I? Otherwise, I'll be in trouble. Ziyu looked at Zhou Ruoguang's fawning face and felt a chill. This guy was hopeless. Whatever. You're a bully. Ziyu grabbed Lin Yi's arm and bit down. Lin Yi wasn't expecting this, so he wasn't prepared. But Lin Yi dodged it if he wanted to, and with a flick of his hand, Ziyu was thrown 3 feet away, landing stably on the ground. Ziyu was even angrier that she didn't get to bite Lin Yi. You need a beating, huh? Lin Yi looked at her. Don't try anything funny. Come dye your hair with me. Ziyu's underlings understood the situation as well. The power structure of Fushan High was about to change. Filong was crippled, and he'd probably disappear from Fushan High. Ziyu, on the other hand, was forcefully taken away by a brother to study. Most importantly, this brother of his was very powerful. Not only was he good at fighting, but even the boss of the North, Zhou Ruoguang, had to bow and scrape in front of him. In this way, only the second strongest faction was left. Who would have thought that second bro would take advantage of it? But they knew that they couldn't follow Ziyu anymore. Even if they wanted to, Lin Yi wouldn't let them. They'd die a horrible death. Lin Yi took Ziyu and nodded to Zhou Ruoguang before leaving with Xiao Xiao. Zhou Ruoguang saw Lin Yi off respectfully and said, Hayashi Lin, take care. Don't flatter me. Remember what I said. Lin Yi said faintly, however, if someone bullies her, I will settle the score with you. No. Zhou Ruoguang said quickly, Miss Ziyu is Hayashi Lin's sister. That means she's my miss. Miss Ziyu, I'll protect you from now on. Ziyu almost burst out laughing at Zhou Ruoguang's words, but a sense of accomplishment that she'd never felt before filled her heart. In the past, Ziyu dreamed of being able to unify the underworld of Songshan and have the bosses of all the districts bow down to her. But she knew that it was just a dream. Women in the underworld were born weak, and they couldn't go too far. But today, Ziyu finally got to enjoy that kind of treatment. Seeing how respectful Zhou Ruoguang was to Lin Yi, Ziyu realized that her dream was being fulfilled in another way. She wondered when the big boss of Songshan would start praising her like this. What are your eyes rolling around for? What are you thinking of now? I'm telling you, study hard from tomorrow onwards. I'll get someone to test you regularly, and if you can't pass, I'll spank your ass 100 times. Lin Yi glared at her. Lin Yi didn't care about Ziyu at all. In Lin Yi's eyes, she was just a kid, and so Lin Yi really treated her like a sister. No, nothing. Ziyu tried asking, then you won't be able to stop me if I go with Sihua, right? You can try. If he dares to take you in, I'll burn down his floating cloud bar. Lin Yi frowned as he said faintly, Oh. Ziyu wasn't disappointed at all. She was actually excited. Lin Yi wasn't scared of Sihua. Her brother seemed to be pretty strong as a captain. She'd have a bright future if she followed him, right? But he didn't seem to be a gangster. Zhou Ruoguang called him Hayashi Lin. What did Hayashi Lin mean? Was he some sort of shaman? No way. Did my brother really ask you to take care of me? Ziyu calmed down after getting in the taxi. She knew she couldn't fight back, and she could only accept her fate. Yeah, Lin Yi nodded. Thinking of Armadillo, Lin Yi felt a little gloomy. My brother. Where is he now? Why isn't he back? Ziyu asked. He's on a special mission, and he might not be back for a long time. Your brother told me that you're about to take your high school entrance exams, and he told me to come see you and make sure you study. Lin Yi said. Oh, I haven't seen my brother in a long time. Ziyu sighed. Do you think someone like me can get into high school? You can start studying tomorrow, Linny said faintly. You'll still have a future in the underworld, right? Ziyu asked carefully. Bullshit. Look at what happened to Zhou Ruoguang. It'd be easier than stepping on an ant if I wanted to kick him to death. Linny sighed. Ziyu was at the rebellious stage of adolescence, and it was the most serious. Kids at this stage were impulsive, violent, and loved excitement. In their eyes, the big bosses of the underworld were powerful beings, and Ziyu was just like that. But Linny had to give her a proper outlook on life, telling her that Zhou Ruoguang had no future, and even Cihua had no future. Then what do you do? Ziyu asked. I used to be your brother's colleague, but I'm a student now. Linny didn't hide it. Ziyu would find out sooner or later. Student? Ziyu paused, looking at Lin Yi oddly. You're a student? Yeah, Songshan's first school. I came back to study. Linny said. Why are you asking so many questions? Mind your own business first. Ziyu pouted, resisting Lin Yi's violent upbringing a little. But there was nothing she could do. What could she use to go against him? Even people she thought were powerful had to bow and scrape in front of him. Ziyu didn't think she could win against Lin Yi in an argument. The key was that Lin Yi didn't seem to know how to be gentle with her at all, treating her like a child. Ziyu had no way of dealing with this. Chapter 1265. Encountering Cihua, there's a barbershop up ahead, sir. Let's park there. Linny pointed at a small barbershop not far away. He turned to Ziyu. Let's do it here. I'll take you to get your hair dyed. No, it's too low class here. Ziyu shook her head. Low class? As long as you can dye your hair, what's the point? Linny frowned, unhappy with Ziyu's luxurious lifestyle. But thinking about Armadillo's income, her family shouldn't be lacking money. Low-class hair dyes can cause cancer. Ziyu pouted. Is that so? Lin Yi turned to Xiao Xiao. Yeah, that's true. But once or twice shouldn't be a problem. Xiao Xiao nodded. If it's that easy, then forget it. Let's go to a high-class one. Linny said to the driver, Sir, let's go to the highest-class hair salon. All right. The driver nodded. They knew all the high-class entertainment places in Songshan like the back of their palms, including hair salons. Soon, the car stopped in front of a very luxurious salon. One could tell from the number of luxury cars parked outside that the customers here were all rich. It wasn't common to see people like Lin Yi coming in a taxi, so the security at the door paused when he saw Lin Yi and the others get out of the taxi. But the security here was very highly trained, and they wouldn't discriminate against customers. Lin Yi and the others walked over, and the security greeted them respectfully before ushering Lin Yi and the others into the salon. Sir, are you looking for a hair salon? A waitress walked over with a smile. Yeah, I'll dye her hair. Linny brought Ziyun in front of the waitress. Dye her hair black? Sir, do you have an appointment? The waiter thought to himself. The little girl must have dyed her hair behind her family's back and was discovered by her elder brother. No, do I need to make an appointment? Linny was slightly surprised. If you don't have a reservation, you can only wait in line. There are still a few customers in front of you, the waiter explained. I see. Linny nodded. He raised his head and looked around the salon. What Linny didn't expect was that this place also belonged to Pengzhan Industries. In the salon's lobby, Lin Yi saw Pengzhan Industries' logo. From the looks of it, Pengzhan was involved in quite a number of industries. No wonder so many people were after his company's assets. But since it was Pengzhan's company, Lin Yi didn't need to be courteous. Putting aside the fact that Lin Yi was a shareholder of Pengzhan Industries, Lin Yi's relationship with Pengzhan and the miss meant that he didn't need to be courteous. Lin Yi took out his diamond membership card and passed it to the waitress. I have a membership card. The waitress took the card from Lin Yi and was shocked when she saw the level on it. Why didn't you take it out earlier if you had a membership card? Was this his first time here? Sir, you are a diamond VIP. You don't need to line up. You can go to the VIP room upstairs. Although the waiter muttered in his heart, he was respectful on the surface. But the diamond VIP room is already used. Can only the ordinary VIP room be used? After all, Pengzhan Industries didn't give out many diamond membership cards, and they were only given to people with connections. As a company under Pingzhan Industries, one Diamond VIP room was usually enough. It wasn't possible for all the Diamond VIP members to come at the same time. But today was an accident. There was a VIP in the Diamond VIP room, trying on her hair and makeup. So, Linny had to go to the normal VIP room first. They couldn't kick the Diamond VIP out, could they? Plus, the Diamond VIP was a very important person. Sure, let's go then. Luckily, Linny didn't care about that at all. He took out the card because he didn't want to wait and wanted to do Ziyu's hair as soon as possible. The VIP lounge and the Diamond VIP lounge were both located on the top floor of the salon. The Diamond VIP lounge was a separate room, while the VIP lounge was a large room. The difference in service between the two was not big, but the environment was slightly different. Ziyu had always wanted to go to a better salon, but she'd never been to a place this good before. She'd only go to the middle-class ones, and this was her first time here. Her eyes kept looking around, feeling that this place was really high class. But when Ziyu was looking around, she saw someone she used to worship a lot. Sihua was sitting in the corner of the VIP room. He was probably waiting for someone, or doing something. When Ziyu saw him, Lin Yi saw him as well. Lin Yi wasn't surprised that Sihua was here. Pengzhan was the boss of Songshan's underworld, and it was understandable that he had a Diamond VIP card. But with his relationship with Qibing, who would believe that Sihua would come to Pengzhan Industries' business just because he had nothing better to do? There had to be something going on. Linny was right. Sihua really did have something going on here. Su Shirhan was trying on her hair and makeup here, and Qibing was drooling over her. He sent Sihua to find out where she was, to see if she'd come back to him for treatment. Sihua had no choice but to become the paparazzi here. Isn't this Sihua, bro? Lin Yi turned his head, a mocking smile on his face. When are you going to pay me back the money you owe me? Ahem. Sihua coughed twice, his face a little ugly. There was nothing he could do to Lin Yi. He didn't dare piss him off, and he didn't dare scold him. Wasn't Houseu the perfect example? See? If you don't study hard, you'll end up like that idiot Sihua, going around in debt. Look at how pitiful he'll be. Even in the VIP room, he'll have to find a corner to sit. Lin Yi pointed at Sihua and called out to Ziyu. Huh? Ziyu didn't think that what Lin Yi said was true. This Sihua was like a punching bag in front of Lin Yi, smiling bitterly even when Lin Yi was mocking him like that. Man, image. In Ziyu's heart, Sihua's big bro image had completely crumbled. Why were these people all so weak? Not a single one of them worked hard. Chapter 1266. Wait for someone. Wait for someone. Sihua shivered when he saw Lin Yi's hand reach into his pocket. This guy wasn't playing with needles again, was he? His brother was a sponge now, full of holes, and someone as strong as Yao Wang was now an antenna. Sihua didn't dare act rashly in front of Lin Yi. Wait for someone? Who? Lin Yi asked. The people in the diamond room? Sihua was troubled, but he had to answer Lin Yi's question. Oh, keep waiting then. Since they were waiting for someone, Lin Yi naturally lost interest. It was fine as long as they weren't here to cause trouble. Lin Yi let Sihua go and found a waitress, telling her that Ziyu wanted to dye her hair back to black. And so, under Ziyu's unwillingness, the waiter started applying the ointment on her hair. Missing, your skin color is actually very pretty when you're yellow before, but if you dye it back to black, there's nothing special about it anymore. I suggest you dye it blue and black. You look pretty under the sun. The hairdresser suggested. My words don't count. My guardian won't let me. Ziyu was troubled and didn't call Lin Yi big bro anymore. She just called him guardian. The hairdresser couldn't help but chuckle and shake his head, continuing to dye Ziyu's hair. This sister of yours is quite cute. Xiao Xiao sat beside Lin Yi, and Lin Yi sat not far from Sihua, waiting for Ziyu. Sihua, on the other hand, felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. After a while, he felt uncomfortable and went downstairs, planning to wait for Su Shirhan in the car. Seeing Lin Yi reminded him of his brother and Yao Wang, and he didn't want that to happen to him. It's all right, just a little kid. Didn't think that a bad example like Sihua would be here. Saves me the trouble. Lin Yi smiled. Wasn't I the same as her before? Xiao Xiao looked at Ziyu and thought of her old self. Your situation is different from hers. You have a problem with your body, which led to your extreme personality, but she's different. She worships violent things from the bottom of her heart. If she sees the nature of violence clearly, I believe she won't do it again, Linny said. Let's hope so. Do you think she can get into high school? Xiao Xiao asked. Whether she gets in or not, it's fine as long as she works hard. When the time comes, she will still go to first high school. Linny smiled and said, it's just to give her some pressure. Pressure is good. Only with pressure can you improve. Xiao Xiao nodded. You're under a lot of pressure right now, right? Oh, why do you say that? Linny was slightly startled. Because of me. You don't have to feel so pressured if you want to find a way to cure me. Life and death are up to the heavens. I don't want to leave you guys right now, but I've thought it through. It's fine. I'm already very happy, Xiao Xiao said. Ha, don't think so much, there'll always be a way. Linny didn't say much on this topic. 1. He didn't want Xiao Xiao to be sad, and 2. Linny didn't have a good idea yet. Ziyu's hair was dyed black. It wasn't obvious after washing it, but it would turn black after a few more washes. Are you happy now? Ziyu looked at herself in the mirror. She looked a lot more innocent now, and her hairstyle was fixed up too. She had the youthful shoulder-length hair of a schoolgirl, and it didn't match the tight clothes she was wearing at all. You're starting to look like a schoolgirl now. Let's go buy some clothes. Linny grabbed Ziyu and walked out. Don't carry me. I can walk myself. Ziyu felt a little embarrassed, being carried around like a little chick. This guy really thought she was a little girl. She was 16, and she knew everything. When Linny got downstairs, Sihua wasn't gone yet. The car was still in the parking lot, but Linny ignored him and took Ziyu to a clothing store. They didn't go to expensive brand-name stores, just a few casual sportswear stores. They bought some clothes that schoolgirls usually wore, and had Xiao Xiao go to the changing room to force Ziyu to change into them. Ziyu, who came out of the changing room, was no longer the gangster girl from before. She looked like a girl next door, young and cute. Her eyes were bright, and she didn't have any makeup on her face, looking much more natural. Most importantly, her breasts weren't as big as before. That's more like it. Linny nodded, satisfied. You're still acting like a schoolgirl, but if you keep squeezing your breasts that big, I'll cut them off for you. Ziyu's face turned red from Linny's scolding. She glared at Linny, wanting to bite him to death. Go to the bookstore now and buy a few exercise books. Read them from top to bottom when you get back, and I'll do a spot check next week. If you get more than 5 questions wrong, I'll smack your butt. Linny threatened. Ziyu was speechless. Her basics were bad, and when had she ever learned anything? Now that Linny wanted her to do exercise books, wasn't that like killing her? But there was nothing she could do to a tyrant like Lin Yi. Guangbro and Sihua Bro were nothing in front of Lin Yi. They were more punching bags than punching bags. Ziyu's temper was gone, and she didn't doubt that she'd get a spanking if she went against Lin Yi. After buying the clothes, Lin Yi brought Ziyu to the bookstore like a parent, buying her a bunch of revision materials. Ziyu's face was like a bitter gourd, but she didn't dare say anything against it. She could only accept it angrily. When the three of them took a taxi back to Fushan Middle School, the power structure of Fushan Middle School had been settled. Under Zhou Ruoguang's instructions, Brother He, who used to be the second largest gang in Fushan Middle School, became the sole boss of Fushan Middle School and was directly under Zhou Ruoguang's jurisdiction. Of course, while He Bro was happy for himself, he was troubled as well. He'd gotten Zhou Ruoguang's permission, and other than him, there was another miss in the school, Ing Ziyu. He didn't know how she got to know this Hayashi Lin all of a sudden, but if even Guangbro called her an old servant, then she definitely wasn't a simple person. He Bro was even more scared, afraid that he'd get into trouble if he didn't serve her well. He knew what happened to Scarbear and Nanfeilong, and he didn't want to end up like them. So, as the boss in name, he could only wait at the school gates like a servant. Chapter 1267. Chapter 1265. Acquaintances in school. He knew what happened to Scarbear and Nanfeilong, and he didn't want to end up like them. As the boss in name, He Bro had no choice but to become a servant at the school gates. But it was okay. Other than serving Ziyu, the Grand Miss, all the power in the school belonged to him. It was much stronger than before. Seeing the young girl get off the taxi, Hey-bro found it hard to connect her with big sis Ing Ziyu. Was this Ing Ziyu? Was Ziyu that cute? She was sexy, but this was the first time Hey-bro thought that she was cute. But even if she was cute, that was fine. Ziyu was being held by the neck by a man who didn't even look that old, and he was walking towards the school. But Hey-bro wasn't stupid. He remembered what Guang-bro said earlier. This man was Hayashi Lin, without a doubt. At the thought, Hey-bro quickly ran over, very respectful. Miss Ziyu, welcome back to school. This must be Hayashi Lin, right? I've been waiting for you for a long time. You. What did you say? Linny was confused. Who are you? I'm Lil Hei, the new boss of Fushan School that Guang-bro promoted. Of course, in front of you too. I'm just a little servant. Guang-bro told me that I'll watch Miss Ziyu's studies, protect her, and not let anyone bully her. Please don't worry, Hayashi Lin. Hey-bro patted his chest. Alright, go away. It's none of your business. Linny waved his hand, indicating that Hey-bro could go play somewhere else. Yes. Hey-bro nodded. Just as Linny was about to bring Ziyu into the school, a familiar voice called out to him. Linny bro, Xiao sis, it's really you guys. She ran over happily. I thought it looked like you guys, but it really is you guys. Why are you guys here? Are you here to see me? Shi, you study here too? Linny was a little surprised. He didn't think that a girl like She would go to such a chaotic school. Yeah. She nodded when her eyes landed on Ziyu's face in front of Lin Yi. She covered her mouth and pointed at Linny in disbelief. You're Ziyu, sis? Ziyu lowered her head when she saw Shi running over. She really didn't want Shi to see her like this, but Shi still recognized her. Oh, you know Ziyu? Linny was curious. It seemed like the two were quite close. Yeah. Ziyu sis always takes care of me in school. Shi nodded. She wasn't really that close with Ziyu. After all, Shi was a good girl, and Ziyu was a big sis. But they were in the same class. One time, Shi was being harassed by a few boys, and Ziyu couldn't stand it anymore. She taught them a lesson, and after that, Ziyu announced that Shi was her sister, someone she would protect, and no one dared to bully Shi anymore. The knife in Ziyu's hand was no joke. No one dared to provoke her. Shi was pretty, but so was Ziyu. No one would do that. Oh, that's perfect. From today on, Ziyu's going to study hard. Shi, since you're classmates with her, you should help her with her studies. I bought a bunch of revision materials for her. You guys can read them together. Lin Yi knew Shi's family situation. She probably couldn't afford studying materials normally, or she wouldn't be able to stay in a school like this without spending money. And so, Shi could read with Ziyu, and Ziyu could help Shi with the things she didn't know. Yeah, okay. Shi was very happy. She was grateful to Ziyu for taking care of her, but she also wanted Ziyu to focus on her studies. As far as she was concerned, Ziyu wasn't dumb. She was smart, and if she focused on her studies, she wouldn't be any worse than her. Man, I'll be counting on you from now on. Ziyu stopped pretending now that she was recognized. She was going to find out sooner or later, and with her help, she might be able to learn faster. She was the first in the school. How's your mom? Xiao turned to Shi. She's all right. Ever since she drank the medicine Linny bro gave her, she's gotten a lot better. Shi nodded happily. I'm so lucky, meeting Ziyu sis in school, and meeting Linny bro and Xiao sis outside. Yeah, all right, I'll go get some medicine for you later, and I'll go see your mom at home. Lin Yi didn't actually need to go to Shi's house. Linny knew Shi's mom's condition like the back of his hand. Even if he didn't go, Linny would be able to find the right medicine. But Linny was a little curious about that Grandpa Zhu. This guy was clearly a mystic late-phase peak. So why was he picking up trash beside a little girl? Linny followed Ziyu and Shi to their classroom. The students had all heard about Lin Yi's exploits outside the school. There were no secrets in the school, and everyone was very respectful of Lin Yi. Even if Ziyu wasn't the big sister anymore, they were more afraid of her than when she was the big sister. With such a strong brother, she could do whatever she wanted in the school. Even Guang-bro and Hey-bro were very respectful to her, let alone normal students. Now that Shi and Lin Yi were very close, The students all regretted it. They didn't offend Chen Shi because of Ziyu, but they still looked down on her for studying so hard every day. But from today onwards, no one dared to look down on her. This is your class. Why is it so messy? Linny frowned as he looked at the weirdly dressed students in the classroom. Some were playing poker, some were playing video games, and there were even couples hugging and kissing each other. Linny frowned. How old was she? And she was already dating. And touching each other? How could Chen Shi study properly in this kind of environment? Every class is like this. You just have to get used to it. Chen Shi didn't think much of it. Chapter 1268. Chapter 1266. Weird Uncle Lin. Ziyu stuck her tongue out, not daring to say anything. She really was a bit scared of Linny. Linny walked up to the podium and knocked on it with the eraser. The chaotic classroom quieted down immediately. These people all knew who Linny was. Even the boss of the North District, Guangbro, called himself an old slave. What kind of person was he? Listen up, all of you. From tomorrow onwards, if you want to come to school, go back to your normal clothes. The guys are not allowed to go topless, and the girls are not allowed to show their thighs or breasts. Dye your hair back to black and study in class. If you don't want to come to school, you can leave now. Lin Yi's voice was calm, but there was an indescribable power in it. I've said what I have to say. If anyone disobeys, you'll have to bear the consequences. The students in the classroom were in pain, but there was nothing they could do about it. Under Lin Yi's pressure, they could only hold their noses and accept it. When Lin Yi brought Ziyu back to school, it was almost time for school to end. Not long after, the bell rang in the hallway, and the students started packing their bags. There's no teacher? Lin Yi asked curiously. The teachers come in the morning, and they usually have self-study in the afternoon. Chen Shi said. Everyone doesn't like to study, and they won't listen when the teachers come. There's nothing we can do about it. Lin Yi nodded helplessly. Chen Shi was right. This was how the school was. It was a problem from top to bottom, and it wasn't something that could be changed easily. This was something the headmaster should worry about, and Lin Yi couldn't be bothered. He brought Ziyu and Chen Shi out of the school with Xiao Xiao. They got a taxi and sent Ziyu home, getting her to know the place so that Lin Yi could catch her whenever he wanted. Ziyu's neighborhood wasn't that high class, just a normal old neighborhood. It seemed that Lin Yi was right. She didn't have much money on her. Armadillo had left her some, but it had been so many years, and she'd probably spent most of it. Do you have enough money? Lin Yi looked around the place, feeling that it was clean and tidy. He nodded. It seemed that Ziyu wasn't a sloppy girl, and Lin Yi didn't find anything bad in her house. Although Lin Yi's attack counted as a sudden attack, and Ziyu probably wouldn't have prepared anything beforehand, Lin Yi still checked every single room carefully. Lin Yi was afraid that Ziyu would hide some drugs, ecstasy, and whatnots. Lin Yi was afraid that Ziyu would get into the habit of taking drugs. One had to know that Lin Yi's detection abilities were quite strong, and all the hidden items in the room couldn't escape his eyes. Lin Yi walked around a big room. This should be Ziyu's brother's room, Armadillo's. The room was very spacious, and other than a bed, a desk, and a small closet, there was nothing else. It didn't take long for him to finish his investigation. Other than some of the armadillo's clothes, letters, and pictures, there was nothing else. Looking at the pictures Armadillo kept, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Lin Yi couldn't help but remember some things from back then. But here, Lin Yi couldn't let himself show any hint of sadness. It'd be bad if Ziyu found out. Lin Yi left Armadillo's room and went into Ziyu's room. Ziyu didn't mind when Lin Yi went into her brother's room, thinking that he was helping her brother take something. But when she saw that Lin Yi didn't take anything and went back to her room, as if he was looking for something, she panicked. Like a cat that got its tail stepped on, she jumped in front of Lin Yi. You, what are you looking for? Lin Yi's heart sank when he saw how nervous she was. Could it be that she really hid something in her room and didn't want him to find it? Could it be that she really was a drug addict? Stand there. Lin Yi glared at Ziyu and ignored her, continuing to look for something in the room. Ziyu stomped her feet when she saw that she couldn't stop Lin Yi. Her face was red, but there was nothing she could do. She could only close the door, not letting Xiao Xiao and Chen Shi see what was going on in the room. What are you looking for? I'll find it for you. Ziyu said as she watched Lin Yi get closer and closer to her bed. Stand there. Didn't you hear me? Lin Yi frowned, ignoring her. Ziyu felt wronged, but there was nothing she could do. She could only look at Lin Yi worriedly, looking around her bed. Suddenly, she saw Lin Yi pick something up. Ziyu felt like her heart was going to explode. Lin Yi's eyes lit up. He found her. He found her. She was done for. She was really done for. She wouldn't have any face left in the future. Lin Yi was speechless. He finally understood why Ziyu was stopping him from looking for things. She hid a vibrator under her pillow. Lin Yi felt a little awkward holding the vibrator, but since he'd found it, and he was playing the role of a guardian, Lin Yi couldn't just ignore it. It seemed that she wasn't that young anymore, even though he'd always treated her like a kid. 16 years old. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Didn't he sneak into porn when he was 16 and get caught by his old man? It was really awkward back then. Ziyu, on the other hand, was a gangster boss. She'd probably seen a lot of stuff like this, and she'd probably seen those movies before. Ziyu only bought a vibrator for herself, and it made Lin Yi feel much better than bringing a guy home for the night. It seemed that this Ziyu was a very clean girl. As for whether or not she was using a vibrator to masturbate, Lin Yi didn't see anything wrong with that. He coughed. You should focus on your studies now. Don't use these things too much. When you use it, you need to be hygienic. You don't get a gynecological disease at such a young age. Come here. I'll give you a checkup. Huh? Checkup? Ziyu was embarrassed when she heard what Lin Yi said, but what Lin Yi said next made her eyes go wide. Gynecological disease? Checkup? Was Lin Yi going to give her a checkup? Chapter 1269. Chapter 1267. Opening Ziyu, yes, check. Lin Yi nodded solemnly. Lin Yi was pretty sure that Ziyu didn't have anything like ecstasy in her room, but he wasn't sure if the girl had eaten anything like that before. Checking her pulse was the safest way. Of course, he could check if the girl had gotten herself some gynecological disease or something. You really want to check? Ziyu gritted her teeth as she looked at Lin Yi bitterly. Upon closer inspection, this guardian was quite handsome and capable, with even Sihua and Zhou Ruoguang treating him with respect. This was the Prince Charming of her dreams. But, this guy didn't care about her at all. He was a tyrant. He suddenly wanted to check her body again, and this made Ziyu instinctively resist. No, she really couldn't. What's with all the bullshit? Lin Yi frowned and pulled Ziyu in front of him, grabbing her hand and checking her pulse. Ziyu snapped out of her shock, only to realize that Lin Yi didn't take off her clothes like she'd imagined, only checking her pulse. Ziyu breathed out in relief, but couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. It seemed like she was thinking too much. He still treated her like a kid. Good, I haven't done drugs before. Lin Yi breathed out in relief, his eyes softening as he looked at Ziyu. I don't have any gynecological diseases for now, but I can't say for sure in the future. Pay attention to your personal hygiene when you do it. Don't stuff it in. Just leave it outside. Ziyu was going crazy again, glaring at Lin Yi. I'm not an idiot. Put it in, and it'll break. I'm still a virgin. Lin Yi paused at the sight of Ziyu going crazy, but he understood what was going on. He treated her like a kid, but she probably didn't think the same way. She was already 16, and she wasn't a kid to her anymore. It was normal for her to be angry after hearing what he said. All right. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and let go of Ziyu's hand. I hate you. I hate you. Ziyu ran to her bed after Lin Yi let her go, hiding the vibrator and burrowing into her blanket, crying. Today was probably the most embarrassing day. Her privacy was exposed by a guy. She didn't want to live anymore. This guy was her guardian, but Ziyu didn't feel like one no matter how she looked at him. Ziyu felt wronged. Would he think that she was a shameless girl, buying these things at such a young age? Ziyu's reaction made Lin Yi a bit helpless. He sighed as he looked at the crying Ziyu on the bed. He treated her like a kid, but he'd forgotten about her emotions as a young girl. But this thing wasn't easy to talk to. He turned around and walked out of Ziyu's room, seeing Xiao Xiao and Chen Shi chatting in the living room. He waved his hand at Xiao Xiao, signaling her to come over. This kind of thing was best discussed between girls, and he'd let Xiao Xiao talk to her a little. Xiao Xiao saw that Linny was calling her and walked over. What's wrong? Where's Ziyu? Can I ask you something? Have you ever, touched yourself? Lin Yi lowered his voice and whispered into Xiao Xiao's ear. What are you doing? Xiao Xiao blushed as she looked at Lin Yi weirdly. But the two were a couple now, so Xiao Xiao didn't feel too embarrassed. She just didn't understand why Lin Yi would ask this all of a sudden. Ziyu bought a vibrator and I found out. She's crying on the bed now. Can you go talk to her? Lin Yi, on the other hand, didn't ask if Xiao Xiao had done it or not. It'd be too ambiguous if he did. Xiao Xiao blinked, finding it funny. Why are you going through her stuff? You're afraid she's hiding drugs or something, right? Lin Yi shrugged. I'll leave it to you. All right. Xiao Xiao nodded and walked into Ziyu's room. Ziyu felt so wronged. As the big sis, she hadn't cried in a long time, but today, she couldn't hold it in anymore. Lin Yi was too much of a bully. This was a girl's privacy. How could he just say it like that? How shameless. Ziyu? Xiao Xiao looked at the sobbing Ziyu, buried her head in the cup, smiling as she walked over and sat beside her. HM? Xiao Xiao sis? Ziyu didn't expect it to be Xiao Xiao. She raised her head, embarrassed, wiping her tears. Why are you here? Ziyu had a good impression of Xiao Xiao. They hadn't talked much, but Xiao Xiao was much better than that tyrant Lin Yi. She didn't know how that tyrant found such a gentle and cute girlfriend. Was Xiao Xiao gentle and cute? Ziyu just didn't see the other side of Xiao Xiao. Why were you crying? Where's that knife-wielding Ziyu? Xiao Xiao smiled. Xiao Xiao sis, you're making fun of me too. Ziyu was on the verge of breaking down. As for the strong Ziyu from before, she could go to hell. I'm not making fun of you, but I heard what happened. Isn't it just a vibrator? I've used it before. It's no big deal. Xiao Xiao started bullshitting. She hadn't actually used it before, not even daring to think about love. She didn't even have someone to fantasize about, much less touching herself. But after getting together with Lin Yi, she had done it a few times recently. It was just that she only used her hands, not anything like a vibrator. Oh, you have one too? Ziyu paused, interested. You're not lying to me? Of course not. Xiao Xiao started talking to Ziyu. She was a few years older than Ziyu, after all, and her mindset was different from Ziyu's. She just told her about the pros and cons and things to pay attention to, and it helped Ziyu get over it. As for what they talked about, only the two of them knew. But when Xiao Xiao brought Ziyu out of the room, Ziyu wasn't crying anymore. She had a shy smile on her face. It's about time. She should go back. Ziyu, stay at home and study. I'll come check next week. Xiao Xiao said to Ziyu. Chapter 1270. Chapter 1268. Testing Grandpa Zhu, but she wasn't that nice to her guardian, Lin Yi. She said goodbye to Lin Yi unwillingly, thinking that it would be best if they never met again. Lin Yi didn't bother with the kid, either. He smiled and brought Shi and Xiao Xiao out of Ziyu's house. Ziyu looked at Lin Yi's back and humphed. She threw the newspaper on the ground and started stomping on it. I'll stomp you to death. I'll stomp you to death. I'm so pissed. Lin Yi, naturally, didn't know that Ziyu thought he was the one stomping on the newspaper. After leaving Ziyu's house, Lin Yi went to a pharmacy and bought some medicine before bringing Shi to her house with Xiao Xiao. Shi's house was a place Lin Yi came to last time, but he didn't go upstairs. This time, Lin Yi pretended to ask casually, where's that old man with you last time at the beach? He didn't get crippled by Xie Yufeng, did he? How's that possible? Shi was about to say that Grandpa Zhu was really strong, teaching Xie Yufeng a lesson after Lin Yi left, but she didn't get to finish before she was interrupted. At this moment, Grandpa Zhu had already appeared in the corridor. He coughed twice and said with a smile, Xiaoxi is back? Why are you still concerned about the fight I had with someone at the beach? I'm an old man, but I'm not heavily injured. I'll be fine after a few days of rest. Shi paused, not knowing why Grandpa Zhu would suddenly appear and interrupt her. But since Grandpa Zhu said that, Shi didn't say anything else. She remembered that Grandpa Zhu told her to hide the fact that he knew Kung Fu, but as far as she was concerned, Lin Yi was a good person, her mother's savior. It shouldn't be a big deal to tell him. But since Grandpa Zhu didn't want to, she could only give up. After all, in her eyes, Grandpa Zhu was a good person worthy of respect. All these years, he had taken care of her and her mother. So she still had to listen to Grandpa Zhu. Oh, that's good. But I heard that Xie Yufeng was heavily injured. I wonder who helped you out? Linny looked at Grandpa Zhu with a smile that wasn't a smile. Seriously injured by someone? It can't be, right? Could it be that someone saw me being bullied that day and helped me? But I was scared that day and left in a hurry, so I didn't see what happened behind me. Grandpa Zhu pushed all the blame away. I see. Linny nodded and looked at Grandpa Zhu. I heard your surname is Zhu? Yes, what's the matter? Grandpa Zhu's heart skipped a beat and he asked calmly. It's nothing. This surname is quite rare. I have met someone with the surname Zhu. I wonder how he is related to you. Linny asked calmly. Oh, the world is big. There are many people with the same surname. Naturally, it has nothing to do with me. Grandpa Zhu shook his head. I haven't even told you who that person is, and you already know it has nothing to do with you? Linny asked. Young man, you must be joking. I am a lonely old man with no family left. Of course, I wouldn't have anything to do with others. Grandpa Zhu smiled. I see. Linny nodded. If that's the case, then I won't disturb you any longer. I'm going to Xi's house to treat her mother. Young man, thank you. Grandpa Zhu nodded. She was confused by the conversation between Lin Yi and Grandpa Zhu. She naturally didn't know that it was Lin Yi's test. She thought that Lin Yi and Grandpa Zhu got along well, so she didn't think much about it. If Lin Yi couldn't see through Grandpa Zhu's strength and was only suspicious, then he wouldn't have gotten any accurate information from the previous test. After all, there were no flaws in Grandpa Zhu's words. However, Lin Yi wasn't just suspicious, but he was sure that there was something wrong with this Grandpa Zhu. The previous few words made Lin Yi even more certain that there was something wrong with this Grandpa Zhu. Grandpa Zhu went downstairs. When Lin Yi and the others entered Chen Shi's house, a gloomy look flashed across his eyes. Little bastard, you ruined my plans. You actually have doubts about me? Humph. Looks like I have to tell the master about this. Grandpa Zhu gritted his teeth and roared. Testing me? I don't think you'll find anything. The bridges I've crossed are more than the roads you've walked. After scolding Lin Yi, Grandpa Zhu found a place with no one and made a phone call. Elder Zhu, why are you calling me at this time? Didn't I tell you? Don't call me if there's nothing important. If Jean finds out, I'm afraid she'll cause trouble again. On the other side of the phone, it was a man's gloomy voice. That woman, you haven't killed her yet? She's just a slut. How can she die so slowly? I'm sorry, young master. The plan was about to succeed, but it was ruined by that brat, Lin Yi. You know that brat, Lin Yi? He'll ruin everything. Grandpa Zhu said with some annoyance. That woman was about to die of cancer, but Lin Yi cured her. If it wasn't for the master wanting Xiao Shi, I wouldn't have gone through so much trouble to give that woman cancer in order to cultivate a relationship with her. I would have killed her with one slap. Xiaoxi has been trained by you since she was young. She's a good cultivation vessel. She'll be a bargaining chip for us to rope in other families. The man didn't seem to see Chen Shi as his own flesh and blood at all. He only saw her as a bargaining chip. But thinking about it, the man was a playboy when he was young. He went around flirting. It was normal for him to have a few bastards outside. It's just that Xiaoxi's mother was a hotel attendant. Her status was so low that the man only saw her as a slut. I understand, but that woman, Grandpa Zhu said with some difficulty. With Linny here, I can't do anything. Linny, I'll talk to my father about this. Don't worry about him for now. Just don't let him find out. The man ordered. Yes, young master. Grandpa Zhu nodded. Mother Chin's complexion was good today, much better than before. It could be seen that she was definitely a first-class beauty when she was young, but the vicissitudes of time made her a little haggard. But after a period of continuous medication, Mother Chin's change was still very obvious. Chapter 1271. There's something wrong with the water. Ani-chun, just call me Lily. No need to call me Mr. Lin. Linny smiled. Looks like you're recovering well, exceeding my expectations. Now we can move on to the next treatment. Then I won't hold back. I'll call you Lily. Mrs. Chun smiled. Thank you. If it weren't for your medicine, I wouldn't be able to recover this fast. Go get some tea for the guests. What are you standing here for? Okay, Mom. Chun-Shi had gotten a lot closer with Lin Yi and Xiao Xiao this afternoon. She forgot to pour them tea when she got home, only remembering after her mother reminded her. No need. We don't drink tea. Lin Yi waved his hand. I just came to check on your recovery, Auntie Chin. I'm relieved now. Xiao Xiao and I should go. You're not in a hurry, right? Why don't we eat here tonight? Mrs. Chun quickly asked Lin Yi to stay. Sure, let's eat together then. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't have much to do tonight anyway. He just wanted to keep Xiao Xiao company. Thinking about it, if he didn't return and stayed outside to accompany Xiao Xiao, the young miss wouldn't say anything. It was fine as long as Xiao Xiao was happy. Xiao Xiao was very happy, too. She saw an optimistic and unyielding spirit in Chen-Shi, and that made her feel much better. That's great. I'll go cook with she in the kitchen. Lil Yi, you and Xiao Xiao can watch TV in the living room? Mrs. Chun was very happy that Linny agreed. No need. We'll go help too. It'll be faster. Linny smiled. Don't look down on me. I'm a master chef. Haha, Linny honey cooks really well. Xiao Xiao added. Mrs. Chun wanted to reject them, but after hearing what Linny and Xiao Xiao said, she had no choice but to let Linny go to the kitchen. Chun-Shi was washing the vegetables, Mrs. Chun was cutting the meat, and Xiao Xiao was helping her. Linny, on the other hand, had nothing to do. This is the water for washing vegetables. Lin Yi's gaze suddenly focused on the vegetable bowl in front of Chun-Shi. What's wrong with water? Big brother Lin Yi? Chun-Shi was confused. Let me see. Lin Yi squeezed through, and Chun-Shi was pushed to the side. Lin Yi's body bumped into Chun-Shi, making her blush a little. But when she peeked at Lin Yi, it seemed like he didn't notice it at all. Chun-Shi secretly let out a sigh of relief. How could Lin Yi know what this child was thinking? It was one thing for Ziyu to have some thoughts, since she used to be a gangster. But a good girl like Chun-Shi had thoughts too? Although Chun-Shi was a good girl, she was still in puberty. She had some fantasies about the opposite sex. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had helped her family so much that it was impossible for Chun-Shi to not have feelings for him. It was just a hazy feeling, and Chun-Shi hid it in her heart, not daring to show it. She was afraid that Xiao Xiao would find out and think that she was trying to seduce her boyfriend. If that happened, Chun-Shi would be too ashamed to show her face. Where did this water come from? Lin Yi dipped his finger in the water and put it in his mouth. It's tap water. Is there a problem? Chun-Shi was pulled back from her thoughts by Lin Yi's question, and after a slight pause, she quickly replied. Tap water? Lin Yi frowned. He turned on the tap water and put a few drops in it. What's wrong? Is there a problem with the tap water? Mrs. Chun saw Lin Yi studying the tap water and quickly walked over. Is the water quality bad? It's like this in the old city. It's already connected to the water purifier. Water purifier? Lin Yi lowered his body and found a water purifier under the cabinet. Lin Yi didn't say anything and closed the water valve, then removed the water purifier. Lin Yi's action made Chun-Shi and Mrs. Chun stunned. If it was someone else doing this, then Mrs. Chun would definitely stop it. How could you just remove someone else's water heater? However, it was Lin Yi who did it, so there must be a reason, so Mrs. Chun didn't ask much. Where did you buy this water purifier? After Lin Yi removed the water purifier, he carefully checked the water purifier and asked. This water purifier wasn't bought. It was picked up by Grandpa Zhu when he was picking up junk. After he helped to replace the filter, he helped us install it. What's wrong, Lin Yi Gij? Is there a problem? Chun-Shi asked curiously. Nothing. Don't use this water purifier. It's a bit dirty. Lin Yi frowned. Grandpa Zhu again? Why him again? Could it be that Grandpa Zhu caused Mrs. Chin's cancer? In this water purifier, there was a substance that would cause cancer if taken for a long time, but Lin Yi didn't know why Chun-Shi didn't get cancer. Was it because she was young and had a strong immune system? Or did she take the antidote before? In short, Mrs. Chin's cancer wasn't an accident, it was caused by someone. After removing the water purifier, Lin Yi reconnected the tap water. This time, there was no problem. Lin Yi's brows furrowed deeper and deeper, and the doubts in his heart grew bigger and bigger. Before, When Linny saw Grandpa Zhu beside Qianxi, he felt it was strange, but Grandpa Zhu didn't seem to have any bad intentions towards Qianxi. Linny was just curious why a peak late-phase mystic classmaster would be beside Qianxi. But now, Linny could be sure that this Grandpa Zhu didn't have any good intentions. He actually poisoned the water purifier. The purpose was to give Mrs. Chen cancer. But Linny didn't understand. Why would a peak late-phase mystic class master use such a strenuous method to harm Qianxi and her mother? Couldn't he just kill them? Could it be that he had some other purpose? Of course, Linny could only think about it in his heart. He wouldn't say it out loud. For Qianxi and her mother, Linny was only familiar with them, not close. He couldn't just blame Grandpa Zhu. Now, it seemed that Qianxi and Grandpa Zhu's relationship was very good. If he said it out loud, Qianxi might not believe him. The water purifier isn't clean? Then we can't use it anymore. Seems like the things we picked up aren't reliable. Mrs. Chen didn't think too much. After all, we aren't professionals. Since he found the problem, then we don't need it anymore. Chapter 1272. Grandpa Zhu's Goal? All right. Mother Chen naturally believed what Linny said. Linny was a doctor. How could a doctor's words be false? After dinner at Qianxi's house, Linny and Xiao Xiao said their goodbyes. Mrs. Chen and Qianxi sent Linny off warmly, telling Linny to come visit again when he was free. Linny agreed with a smile. After leaving Qianxi's house, the smile on Linny's face suddenly disappeared, becoming very gloomy. Linny, honey, what's wrong? Xiao Xiao asked, noticing Linny's weird expression. Mrs. Chen's cancer is man-made. There's something wrong with that water purifier. Linny didn't need to hide it from Xiao Xiao. There's something wrong with that water purifier. I know, it's that Grandpa Zhu. Xiao Xiao wasn't an idiot. Linny had said that there was something wrong with that Grandpa Zhu back at the seaside, and Linny had tested her again today. Naturally, Xiao Xiao knew that Linny was suspecting Grandpa Zhu. It's him. I just can't figure out what his purpose is. A peak late-phase mystic class master. Did he have nothing better to do? Poison a single mother? Is he out of his mind? Or was it really unintentional? Because Qianxi also said that the water purifier was picked up by Grandpa Zhu when he was picking up junk, but after changing the filter, it continued to be used. As for whether there were other problems in the water purifier, they were not professionals, so naturally they couldn't tell. Then why is Qianxi fine? Xiao Xiao quickly thought of Qianxi. That's what I'm curious about. Did Qianxi take the antidote, or is her resistance stronger? Linny shook his head and said, the harmful substances in the water purifier can't cause cancer in a day. This is a long-term process. Eating it for a long time will cause cancer, so I'm surprised that Qianxi is fine. Maybe she's young, and she doesn't eat at home often? Is that why? Xiao Xiao asked. It's possible, but that Grandpa Zhu is very suspicious, Linny said, but I don't know what he's planning, so I can only take it one step at a time and come to see Qianxi often. That Grandpa Zhu, I feel uncomfortable just looking at him, Xiao Xiao said. We can't let him hurt Qianxi. In the blink of an eye, it was time for the fundraiser. Before the fundraiser, there was a singing competition. After the preliminary and semifinals, the school had selected the best soloists and choirs. Today, the finals would be held on the school's sports field. Because of the participation of members of the public, in order to ensure the safety of the students and the smooth progress of the donation event, the school's leaders had already notified the police, and early this morning, Lingshan brought a group of police officers to the school to maintain order. Yufeng wasn't planning on donating at the event, but he didn't think that Lingshan would bring a team to maintain order in the school. He had to do something. Lingshan, I didn't think you'd come too. Yufeng smiled as he walked over to greet Lingshan. Sorry, I'm on official business right now. I don't have time to chat with you. Please help yourself. Lingshan looked at Yufeng, not planning on talking to him at all. Lingshan was annoyed to death with Yufeng, and she didn't think that he'd come over to talk to her today. The fundraiser hasn't started yet, right? Miss Song, don't tell me that you don't even have time to talk? Yufeng didn't seem to understand the meaning behind Lingshan's words at all as he continued to stand there. Since it hasn't started yet, shouldn't Mr. Yu go prepare? Why don't you contribute to charity later? You're not planning on being stingy, are you? Lingshan didn't like Yufeng, but she didn't mind him donating a sum of money to her. Haha, I've actually prepared for it. I'm very supportive of charity. I didn't think that Miss Song was a supporter of charity as well. Yufeng smiled, thinking how much should he donate? Since Lingshan liked people with love, naturally, he should donate more. If he donated too little, Lingshan would think that he was stingy, but if he donated too much, Yufeng wouldn't be satisfied. Why should he just waste his money like that? If it weren't for Lingshan, he wouldn't even donate a single cent. Seeing Yufeng walk over to Lingshan, Lin Yi frowned. Did this guy know Lingshan? Lin Yi didn't know who Yufeng was, and he didn't know about the marriage between House Yu and House Song. Lingshan didn't tell Lin Yi because Lin Yi didn't have any feelings for her. She didn't want to embarrass herself and let Lin Yi push her to Yufeng. Huaijuan, on the other hand, thought that Lin Yi already knew about this when he was on the phone with Lin Yi, so he didn't bring it up. Lin Yi wasn't planning on letting House Yu go, so why would he bring up Lin Yi's relationship with Lingshan and House Yu? It would make him look like a busybody. So when Lin Yi saw Yufeng talking to Lingshan, he was suspicious. Yufeng, on the other hand, didn't know about the relationship between Lin Yi and Lingshan. Otherwise, he wouldn't be talking to Lingshan in front of Lin Yi. He didn't know that his actions had exposed his identity. Soon, the finals of the singing competition began. Tang Yun and Ming Yao walked up the stage in their best outfits. The two were about the same height, and their beauty levels were about the same as well. The moment they got on stage, it caused a commotion. Tang Yun was already taken, and Ming Yao was the daughter of a rich family. Although the boys knew that their chances weren't high, it didn't stop them from loving beauty. Even if they couldn't take it for themselves, they could at least take a look, right? The people who were invited to attend the fundraising event also began to discuss the background of the two girls. Keeping students as mistresses wasn't a secret among the rich. Ming Yao and Tang Yun, these two absolute beauties, attracted the attention of the rich. It wasn't a surprise. The two of them were already beautiful, and with makeup, they were even more beautiful. It would be strange if these people weren't tempted. However, after knowing that Ming Yao was Peng Zhan's daughter, they shifted their attention to Tang Yun. Chapter 1273. Xie Yufeng's tragedy again, but Tang Yun was different. No one knew who she was, so in everyone's eyes, she was just a commoner school beauty. But in reality, Tang Yun was indeed a commoner school beauty. And so, some people started to be tempted, and Fatty Shun was one of them. Fatty Shun came from a mining background. There were a lot of mines near Songshan City. Fatty Shun had made a lot of money in the past few years. He was a real rich man. After he had money, he began to enjoy life. He had played with countless famous models and small celebrities. But after he got tired of playing with them, Fatty Shun was more inclined to play with young and pure girls like Duan Ying. After Fatty Shun memorized Tang Yun's name, his eyes never left Tang Yun's body. The more he looked, the more he drooled. Boss So, how much do you think this girl Tang Yun would cost? Fatty Shun looked at Zhou Tiandi lecherously. Fatty Shun also had some underworld background. These days, if a miner didn't have any underworld background, he would definitely be bullied and wouldn't be able to control the situation. So, in order to get closer to Zhou Tiandi, Fatty Shun purposely sat beside him to get closer to him. What do you mean, how much? Zhou Tiandi was watching a performance. Today, he heard that Hayashi Lin's girlfriend was hosting a charity event, so he ran to the school to show his support. Ever since his son said that he had a relationship with Lin Yi, Zhou Tiandi was very happy. He didn't have to be afraid anymore, and he had the energy to gamble and pick up girls. Today was the perfect opportunity to please Lin Yi, so naturally, he wouldn't let it go. Tang Yun, that girl is so pretty, with big breasts and a round butt. TSK, if I could touch it, it would be so good. Boss So, what do you think if I get her and play 3P? Fatty Shun squinted his eyes and said, What, 3P? I'll play your mom. Zhou Tiandi jumped up, raised his arm, and gave Fatty Shun a big slap. Mother asterisk her, are you trying to kill me? I don't know you. You bastard. Why don't you go die? Zhou Tiandi was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. It wasn't easy for her to mend her relationship with Hayashi Lin, But this guy actually suggested that she play Lin Yi's wife with him? Don't you want to die? If the omnipotent Hayashi Lin were to hear this and suspect him, then he would really be out of luck. In the past, Zhou Tiandi had a good impression of Fatty Shun. Fatty Shun was smart and knew how to do things. He knew how to be filial to Zhou Tiandi, so he had a good impression of him. But today, he saw that this guy was a fool. Zhou Tiandi quickly drew a line between them. Zhou boss, why did you hit me? Fatty Shun was stunned by Zhou Tiandi's sudden attack. I know. Zhou boss, you are interested in Tang Yun, right? Don't worry, I won't fight with you. You can have her for yourself. Fatty Shun's voice wasn't soft, and when Zhou Tiandi was beating up people, he made a lot of noise. Many people were looking at him, so Fatty Shun's words were heard by them. Zhou Tiandi almost exploded when he heard Fatty Shun's words. Your mother. Do you want to kill me first? When did I fall in love with Tang Yun? Is she someone I can fall in love with? She is Hayashi Lin's wife. I would rather stab my eyes blind than look at her. I like your mother. Zhou Tiandi kicked Fatty Shun's body. I am a decent person. How can I fall in love with someone else? Tang Yun is like a goddess. Do you think I am worthy? Not to mention you, who is worse than a pig or a dog. Zhou Tiandi kicked Fatty Shun's body. Although Fatty Shun's body was fat, he didn't dare to fight back. He didn't know why Zhou Tiandi was beating him like crazy. However, gradually, Fatty Shun understood something. From Zhou Tiandi's words, could it be that Tang Yun was someone with a powerful background? Following the conflict, Song Lingshan quickly walked over. Mr. Zhou, what are you doing? How can you hit people so casually? If you don't want to participate in the charity event, you can choose to leave. Song Lingshan warned. Officer Song, we're just playing around. If you don't believe me, you can ask Fatty Shun, right? Zhou Tiandi saw that Song Lingshan had come, so he could only stop. Although he hated Fatty Shun, he couldn't just leave before the charity event started. Wouldn't it be a waste of his effort? Yeah, Officer Song, we are just playing around. Fatty Shun said with his mouth leaking air. No matter how wronged he was, he didn't dare to say anything. Although he was strong, compared to Zhou Tiandi, he was still far from it. You old bastard! How dare you? Get out of my sight! Xie Yufeng saw that Song Lingshan had come to stop the fight between Zhou Tiandi and Fatty Shun, so he came to save the damsel in distress. Xie Yufeng only wanted to show off in front of Song Lingshan, so he didn't think much and ran over, blocking in front of Song Lingshan. Zhou Tiandi and Fatty Shun didn't dare to do anything to Song Lingshan, but Fatty Shun wouldn't be polite to this bastard who came out of nowhere. He had been kicked by Zhou Tiandi before, and he had a stomach full of anger. Now that someone came to help him vent his anger, he naturally wouldn't let him go so easily. Where did you come from, kid? Who are you telling to get out of my sight? We are just playing around. What does that have to do with you? Fatty Shun looked at Xie Yufeng and asked coldly. You fatty, you're not happy? Xie Yufeng didn't want to show any weakness in front of Song Lingshan. Seeing that Fatty Shun dared to talk back to him, he was furious. You are here to donate money. We welcome you. But if you want to F***CKS, don't blame me for being rude. Slap. Fatty Shun slapped Xie Yufeng's face. Who do you think you are? What are you doing here? Officer Song, there is an idiot here. Are you going to do something about it? You dare hit me? Xie Yufeng was furious. He was a mystic, the young master of House Yu, and he was slapped in the face by a fatty? If he didn't kill him, it would be a waste of his strength. But the next moment, Xie Yufeng froze. This wasn't right. They were in school. Not outside of school. In school, in front of Lin Yi, he had been hiding his strength. He couldn't reveal it. Before, because of Song Lingshan, Xie Yufeng subconsciously forgot about this, thinking that he was the young master of House Yu, not the Xie Yufeng in school. But now, he suddenly remembered that he was in school. Chapter 1274. So what if I hit you? Who do you think you are? How dare you talk nonsense in front of me, Fatty Shun? Fatty Shun sent another slap at Yufeng's face. Yufeng was shocked and angry, but there was nothing he could do. He pointed at Fatty Shun. You. He said the word you 3 times, but didn't do anything else. Evidently, Yufeng didn't dare to act rashly. Officer Song, look at this. This is such a busybody. Why didn't you take her away? I was sparring with Boss Zhou. learning from each other. What does this have to do with him? Is he an intern from your police station? Fatty Shan looked at Ling Shan and pushed all the responsibility of hitting the man away. Ling Shan didn't know what to do. She didn't like Xie Yufeng in the first place, and she had no intention of protecting him. Since Fatty Shan had said so, Ling Shan nodded and said, Master Yu, let the police handle this. You should focus on preparing for the donation. Xie Yufeng looked at Fatty Shan coldly and thought to himself, don't let me see you again, or else I will beat you into a cripple. Humph. Yufeng humphed coldly and left. Staying here would only make things awkward. If you two want to spar, go outside and spar. Here, donate. Boss Zhou and Boss Shen, you two are so active. Do you want to donate more money? Ling Shan said, Of course. Officer Song, I was going to donate even if you didn't say anything. I'm going to donate 500,000. Tiandi said generously. Ling Shan couldn't help but be taken aback. She said all that just to make Tiandi and Fatty Shan bleed, but from what she saw, these mafia bosses would at most donate 10 or 20,000. She didn't expect Tiandi to donate 500,000 all at once. Ling Shan froze. She had to reevaluate her impression of Tiandi. Did this guy turn over a new leaf? And he's become passionate about charity and public welfare? That would be a blessing for Songshan. Fatty Shan was also stunned. He didn't think that Zhou Tiandi would be so generous to donate 500,000. He came here just to join in the fun. He planned to donate 10 or 20,000, but since Zhou Tiandi said so, Fatty Shan didn't want to donate too little. He said, I'm also going to donate 100,000. Ling Shan's face was a little weird. She'd wanted to find an excuse to kick these two out, but it seemed like it was better to keep them around. Since these two were so compassionate and had decided to donate so much money, Ling Shan naturally wouldn't let them go. Looks like the two bosses are quite compassionate. I won't disturb you then. You guys can continue. Ling Shan nodded and left. Donating money was fine. Sparring if you wanted to. After sitting down, Fatty Shan asked, Boss Zhou, what happened to you just now? What did I say wrong? Humph. You almost got me killed. Thank goodness I made myself clear in time and Hayashi Lin didn't blame me. Otherwise I would have died because of you. Tiandi humphed coldly. Hayashi Lin? Who is that? Fatty Shan froze. In Songshan, there aren't many people that I, Zhou Tiandi, am afraid of. I'm just giving him some face. There's no need to be afraid. But there's one person I'm afraid of, and that's Lin A. Hayashi Lin. Tiandi said, This person is too scary. In Songshan, this person is not someone you can offend. Fatty Shan froze. Lin E? I've never heard of him. You don't need to have heard of him. At your level, you won't be able to come into contact with such a powerful person. But remember, those two girls on the stage don't have any bad intentions, or you will die a horrible death. You will really die. Don't think that I'm just trying to scare you. Tiandi said seriously. I understand. Fatty Shan quickly nodded. No matter what, he remembered Tiandi's words. In the future, if he met any Lin E or Hayashi Lin, he would try to avoid them as much as possible. If even Tiandi was afraid of them, then they were definitely not easy to get along with. The fundraising event had begun. The voting power was just to give these celebrities a sense of balance, but in reality, they didn't get any substantial benefits. Thank you all for your enthusiastic participation. The top 10 of the singing competition has been decided. Now, let's welcome director Wang Jifeng to announce the winners. Tang Yun didn't have stage fright after a short period of time, but when she saw director Wang Jifeng walking over, she felt that life was really strange. The scene where she accidentally poured the bucket on Wang Jifeng was still vivid in her mind. Now, she was the host, and her relationship with Wang Jifeng wasn't bad either. Tang Yun didn't think that there would be a day where she would become the center of attention in school. In fact, who didn't want to be the center of attention? In the past, Tang Yun was afraid. She didn't have a sense of security. She was afraid that her beauty would bring her trouble, so she had to keep a low profile. Even so, it still caused some unnecessary trouble. But now that she was with Lin E, no matter how high profile she was, no one would dare to do anything to her. The guest seats were very close to the tea stage, and Tiandi and Fatty Shan were sitting at the very front. How could Tang Yun not hear their conversation? Seeing Tiandi beat up Fatty Shan, Tang Yuan thought it was funny. But the truth was, these bad people were afraid of Lin Yi, and she benefited a lot from it. The list of winners was read out. The top 10 winners received a certificate and prize money from Wang Jifeng. However, because it was a fundraising event, the winner of the first place announced on the spot that he would donate his prize money to the children of the orphanage. With the first winner taking the lead, the other winners also generously donated their prize money. Among them, there was a rich student who donated an extra 2,000 yuan, which received a warm applause. After this process, it was time for the free donation. First, it was the students and teachers who donated, and finally, it was the celebrities who donated. Xie Yufeng didn't donate with the students because he wanted to be in the limelight. He waited until Meng Yao announced that the celebrities would donate, and then he stood up. Originally, Tiandi wanted to be the first to stand up. He was here to support Lin Yi, so he wanted to show his initiative and enthusiasm. But he didn't expect that Xie Yufeng would take the initiative. Chapter 1275. Xie Yufeng was pissed. Do I have to queue up to donate? Xie Yufeng wanted to be the first to donate and leave a good impression on Lingshan, but he didn't expect to make a fool out of himself. Fatty Shen ruined his plan again. At this time, the students who didn't know what was going on were discussing among themselves. Isn't Xie Yufeng a student? Why is he donating with people from the society? A student said, "That's right. Is he trying to show off that he's rich and that he's a celebrity?" Another student said. Xie Yufeng's face turned ugly. He wanted to show off, but he didn't expect it to turn out like this. Xie Yufeng looked at Fatty Shan with hatred. Forget it, Fatty Shan. Let someone else donate first. Everyone is giving their love, so it doesn't matter who donates first. Zhou Tiandi didn't rush to donate anymore. Since something like this happened, and the young man was already on the stage, if he rushed to donate first, then Lin Yi would see that he was trying to flatter Lin Yi. It would be a bit pretentious, so he might as well let him go first. You're lucky. You donate first. Fatty Shan let go of Xie Yufeng and said. Xie Yufeng's face was full of resentment. What was going on? He just donated, and he got himself into trouble. Donating was supposed to be a very glorious thing, and Xie Yufeng wanted to use this opportunity to show off his style. But now, there was a fatty standing next to him, as if he was supervising him, urging him to hurry up. This made Xie Yufeng go crazy. For the orphans of the orphanage to have a good life, I've decided to donate 200,000. Xie Yufeng walked up to the stage proudly and said to Tang Yuan and Meng Yao, "Thank you for your support, Xie Yufeng." Tang Yuan smiled sweetly and nodded to Xie Yufeng. Although she didn't like this Xie Yufeng, Tang Yuan was the host and Xie Yufeng was the donor. She couldn't look at him with emotion. Originally, Xie Yufeng wanted to take the microphone and say a few words. He had donated 200,000, and from Xie Yufeng's point of view, 200,000 was the highest amount that the arena had ever donated. He wanted to show off in front of Lingshan, but just as he was about to ask Tang Yuan for the microphone, he heard Fatty Shen say, 200,000 and you still want to speak? Hurry up and go down. Don't waste any more time. Boss So is going to donate 500,000 yuan later. Fatty Shen's voice was very loud, and it was heard through the microphone in Tang Yun's hand. It made all the students present burst into laughter. Yufeng felt his face heated. This was the most embarrassing moment he'd ever been in his entire life. The last few times he'd been embarrassed, Lin Yi had seen it, but it was only in a small area. Most people didn't see it, but today, not only did he do it in front of the whole school, he did it in front of Lingshan. Yufeng felt that if he didn't say anything, he'd be a coward. However, when he looked at the tall and sturdy Fatty Shen, he felt that if he didn't use his qi, he wouldn't be his opponent. So, Xie Yufeng could only take a step back and vent his anger on Tang Yun. Why didn't you turn off the microphone? Do you want to die? Yufeng's voice went through the microphone in Tang Yun's hand, and it spread to the whole school. Instantly, the whole school was in an uproar. Although some people thought that Yufeng's actions were funny, they only felt that it was funny. But now, they looked down on Yufeng. Why was this person so uncultured? Scolding the MC? What did it have to do with the MC? Is this kid crazy? Is he crazy? Why is he acting like a mad dog? He made a fool of himself, and now he's scolding others? Student A asked curiously. Hey, you can't tell, right? How is he crazy? He's very smart. He's bullying the weak and afraid of the strong. He didn't dare to do anything to that fatty, so he started scolding the MC. Student B explained. But this MC, isn't she Lin Yi's girlfriend? This Xie Yufeng is going to be unlucky. Student C said sympathetically. As expected, they were right. From the moment Tang Yun was scolded to the moment Lin Yi jumped on the stage, Lin Yi kicked Yufeng's chest and kicked him off the stage. After that, Lin Yi didn't stop. He didn't even say anything to Tang Yun, and he went back to his seat. This was the first time Lin Yi had a direct conflict with Yufeng in a public place. Before, Lin Yi didn't know Yufeng's background, and Yufeng didn't do anything that crossed Lin Yi's bottom line, so Lin Yi didn't do anything to him. He let him stay in the school, but today, Yufeng's scolding made Lin Yi angry. Your wife is the one. Even if she is, she's the only one who's flirting with me. And so, Lin Yi didn't hold back and kicked Yufeng off the stage. Although Lin Yi didn't know how Yufeng broke through and became a mystic mid-phase in just a few days, Lin Yi was already a mystic mid-phase peak. Naturally, he wasn't afraid of him. If he wanted to fight, then fight. Lin Yi couldn't kill him. Yufeng didn't think that Lin Yi would kick him off the stage like this. Yufeng froze. But then, he realized that the MC on the stage was Lin Yi's girlfriend. He didn't know what to say and scolded her, and now Lin Yi was here for revenge? Yufeng fell off the stage, and he had a murderous urge. He decided to discuss it with his father tonight. He wanted to kill Lin Yi. Of course, in school, in front of everyone, especially in front of Ling Shan, Yufeng had no choice but to hold it in for now. Even if he was a disciple of House Yu, killing someone in school was enough to cause him trouble. Yufeng stood up gloomily, but he didn't have the face to stay in school anymore. He walked out of the school. 200,000, not only did he not get anything good, but he also got himself a bad name. Seeing Yufeng leave the school with his tail between his legs, the students mocked him, and some cursed him. None of them had anything good to say. The conflict between Lin Yi and Xie Yufeng happened in a very short period of time, so it didn't cause too much of a commotion. With Yufeng's gloomy departure, everyone's attention returned to the event. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.